speed guaranteed.
Officials prepare to reopen New Orleans, but Joe wants to know, is the city really ready, or are they putting people at risk? Scarborough Country. MSNBC tonight at 10.
And that will do it for our first day of trading. Welcome, MSNBC viewers, to CNBC Market Wrap. I'm Dylan Radigan. Ron and Sana on assignment. Dirty white collars. Two former executives at Tyco International sentenced today for their looting of the company that they once led. Oil making big gains as the fury of another storm takes aim at the Gulf Coast. At the bell, here's how the markets finish things up. First day of the week, you'll see declines across the board. Dow Jones Industrial Average giving up 88, NASDAQ 15, Standard & Poor's $7. The only strength we saw is in gold, which is at a 17-year high. And first up, a check with Art Hogan, Chief Market Strategist with Jefferies & Company. And Art, Rita is the word, the story of the day, and the market's responding to it in kind. Is the response appropriate?
Yeah, well, I think the response is interesting in that we've almost on all three major indices gave up what we had gained on Friday, and we really didn't have much of a reason to have gains on Friday. When you think about it, on top of energy prices, everyone's on the sidelines waiting to figure out what the Fed does tomorrow afternoon at 2:15. So I think that's going to be the biggest driver in markets this week, not the short-term $3 spike in energy prices. We're kind of used to that volatility, if you will. I mean, this is not new territory on energy for us. So the market's doing what it's supposed to do. Energy's up, market's down, and we'll see what happens tomorrow afternoon.
You mentioned it. This is the first meeting of the Federal Reserve in 10 meetings where there is any debate as to what they're going to do. And indeed, tomorrow there is some.
There is some, yeah. I don't think that the folks that believe the Fed's going to take a pause in this pattern are, have much to stand on. The Fed's been very transparent about what they're doing. We've got no body language or message whatsoever that they're going to change that pattern. They may take a break sometime this year. It's just not tomorrow.
What do you think they should do, Art?
Well, what I think they should do and what I think they will do are two different things. I think what they will do is continue on the pattern and take December off. That'll be the third meeting. At that juncture, we'll be at 4% on the Fed funds rate. I think December is when we get the break for a while. And then remember, the next meeting they have after that is February. We'll have a new chairman of the Fed. What do I think they should do? I think they should take this particular meeting off. I think, on the country's morale alone, I think it's probably the right thing to do, but it's not going to happen.
All right, Art. Always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dylan.
Former Tyco Chief Executive Dennis Kozlowski and Chief Financial Officer Mark Swartz were sentenced today for stealing millions of dollars from the company they once led. The pair were sentenced to 8 years and 4 months to 25 years in prison and immediately handcuffed. Prior to their sentencing, the pair were also ordered to pay $134 million in restitution and another $105 million in fines. And earlier in the afternoon, the New York State prosecutor said the Securities and Exchange Commission decided to charge both Kozlowski and Swartz with accounting fraud. We'll get more on the latest in a string of white-collar corporate sentencing coming up here on Market Wrap. And crude oil, as we mentioned, surging today on developments on two fronts. First, the cartel of oil-producing nations, OPEC, leaning toward not increasing output to meet the growing demand for oil and the disrupted supply. And speaking of supply, Gulf Coast refineries being threatened yet again by current tropical storm Rita, churning right now off the Florida Keys. Storm trackers say the storm could hit along the Louisiana or Texas coast, passing right through the oil production in the Gulf. Crude oil today, as Art Hogan made reference to, up substantially, 7%, $4.30 a barrel. It trades $67.39 a share. Pilots and flight engineers for bankrupt ATA Airlines accepted a new contract agreement. Under the terms, pilots will get stock options after the company exits bankruptcy in exchange for $84.5 million in savings in wages through the end of 2007. And a growing fear of Gulf Coast firefighters and the insurance industry is that homeowners will set their houses on fire because their insurance does not cover floods. Houses that were partially submerged in water were reportedly destroyed by fire days later, according to firefighters. And still to come here on Market Wrap, the latest case of corporate crime ended today with the sentencing of two former Tyco executives. We're going to go deeper into the sentencing and the message that is being sent to the corporate world as Tropical Storm Rita making her way across South Florida, just like Katrina. And that's got residents from along the Gulf worried. We'll get the latest read on Rita, all ahead on MSNBC.
Tonight. Mayor Ray Negan announces plans to reopen New Orleans, but with evacuees making themselves at home elsewhere, who will return on Hardball at 7. Then, the New Orleans Saints host a home game on the road. A special story about the football team that's become a symbol of hope for Katrina survivors on Countdown at 8. MSNBC Primetime tonight.
Do you, Morgan Ambrose Robert, take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife?
Of course, that very much depends on what you mean by the question, do you? Forward-looking statements involve risk and uncertainties. We're opening up a can of worms here. No single answer readily presents itself. I mean, have we really explored every avenue? Have the parties made certain representations, warranties, and agreements in connection with the merger? Do the parties agree to be subject to the satisfaction of the regulatory approvals as required to consummate the transaction? Who amongst us will ever know?
I do.
I pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Less talk. Make it happen. The Royal Bank of Scotland Group.
Hey everybody, who's ready?
Oh, I gotta take my XLA. Whoa, where's my XLA? Hey, did you take my XLA?
So, is this what you take, XLA?
Yeah, it's amazing. It really helps me keep the pounds off. So, where did you get this bottle?
Inside. Why?
Oh no.
Get your XLA today at your favorite supercenter, Dwayne Reed and GNC. Just don't mess with Marshall's XLA.
Call 1-866-SO-FAST-1 to get Comcast high-speed internet for only $19.99 a month for the first 3 months. Comfortably surf the web with unparalleled protection and 3 free downloads from McAfee Security Solutions, a savings of over $100. A 6,000 kilobits per second connection means faster downloads for online news, music, games, and so much more. Sign up for Comcast high-speed internet today by calling 1-866-SO-FAST-1 and get the service that's always safe, always fast, always Comcast.
I'm gonna give it to you straight. Everything has to come together. You gotta get $7.95 online equity trades, 7 independent sources of research, and 24/7 customer service. You gotta get access to IPOs and a single brokerage and banking account, and you got to get it all from one place! Now who's with me?
For the investor who wants it all, Harris Direct Online Investing, the straight stuff.
Welcome. The rules in Finlandistan, Albaniastan are quite unique. I hope you had a chance to review them.
It's tennis. How different can it be?
It's not easy being out of your element, especially when it comes to insurance and investing. Genworth Financial and your financial professional can help you understand your choices and then make the right ones, so you'll be ready for whatever the future throws your way. Business Update is brought to you by Genworth Financial, built on GE Heritage.
Today's business headlines for you. Nike sprinting to a 32% growth in its profits for the first quarter. The company showing strong sales in all countries, earning $432.3 million compared to $326 million a year back. Dell Computers are entering into an agreement with Verizon to offer high-speed data connections on Dell laptops. Under the deal, wireless cards that work exclusively with Verizon service will be installed beginning early next year. And the newly formed Sprint Nextel joining forces with Real Networks for a new internet radio service. The service will be called Rhapsody Radio and provide Sprint customers with streaming audio from Real Networks' online music service. Your headlines this afternoon is former Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski and his finance chief Mark Schwartz didn't get a moment to breathe following their sentencing today on looting the company of nearly $600 million. The Tyco trial seemed to focus more on the lavish lifestyle than the other trials of corporate greed. And with his take, we welcome criminal defense attorney and former chief of the fraud division for the U.S. Attorney's Office, Jay Fahey. And Mr. Fahey, these sentencings resurrect in many cases stories that go back many years. Do you believe at this point that the type of activity that we're just seeing sentenced today has been driven from America's corporate practices today?
The answer is no, but I think what is happening is I think federal prosecutors in particular are sending the message: if you commit these frauds and we come upon it, we're going to take this very seriously. Now, this case was not a federal prosecution. It was done by the Manhattan DA's office, but white-collar criminal prosecutions, if we go back a year ago, 2 years ago, kind of became the thing that prosecutors were focusing on, and we see a lot of those trials are over now, and a lot of those people, the trials are either over or people have pled guilty. But it's the message, I think, is loud and clear that they're not going to tolerate this. But this is not going to stop corporate prosecutions or corporate greed.
Why do you say that?
Because it's just the nature of human beings. If people think they can get away with things, I think they're going to try to get away with it. And if we look at Kozlowski in the Tyco case and Schwartz in the Tyco case, they ran by a lot of the things that they were doing to some degree with their accountants, with their outside lawyers. They thought they were above the law. They thought they could get away with it. And I suspect they never thought a day of reckoning was ever going to come to them. But again, there was an increased scrutiny with corporate officers, and maybe I'm just more pessimistic than most, but I don't think this is going to end corporate crime at the highest levels. I wish it would, but I don't think that's going to occur.
I got about 30 seconds. Do you feel that the punishment suits the crime?
I think this is a bit too severe. The one thing that people need to keep in mind is that almost all corporate prosecutions are federal prosecutions, and federal prison is not that tough. It's almost like a bad college dormitory. This case was prosecuted by the Manhattan DA's office, and these men are going to be going to state prison. As a matter of fact, they left the courtroom today in shackles going to Rikers Island, which is one of the toughest holding cells probably in the country, and they're going to go to New York State prisons, not federal prisons. So they're going to do some very hard time. I think 8 1/3 years of that kind of time is a very severe sentence for these men.
Mr. Fahey, a pleasure. Thank you for the analysis.
Thank you.
And when we come back, a wrap of the day's closing numbers on Wall Street, and we'll get you the latest business headlines right on your computer anytime by logging on to business.msnbc.com. We'll be right back.
Market Wrap is brought to you by Lincoln Financial Group, with financial resources to help you say hello, future.
There is a difference between a vacation and an adventure. One is all hammocks and room service. The other, a life-changing experience. That's what retirement is. A time to leave the hammock swinging and say, hello, future. Call your advisor about the powerful resources of Lincoln Financial Group.
Sprint Business is reinventing the yes man, turning the yes man into someone who can work from almost anywhere. And now that Sprint and Nextel have come together, you can work in and out of the office more efficiently, the way 96% of the Fortune 1000 already do. So if saying yes from just about anywhere with speed and confidence makes me a yes man, I'm a yes man.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Yes, you can.
The HP Blade System server, powered by Intel Xeon processors. Consolidation made easy.
In the 21st century, you expect more. So we created Ameritrade Apex, our dedicated program for active traders that offers free, powerful trading tools, Apex exclusive events and webcasts, and no service fees. All for just $10.99 per internet equity trade. It's the 21st century. Trade like it. Open an account today and for a limited time get a free BlackBerry. Qualify for Apex and get 10 free trades.
If you missed Rita Cosby live and direct last week, you missed a lot. Like Rita exposing the shocking story of the hurricane evacuation video that never made it to New Orleans poor. And this week, after Katrina, hundreds of children remain missing. John Walsh is in the storm zone helping put families back together. Live and direct, MSNBC weeknights at 9.
As for tomorrow, all eyes on the Federal Reserve, which meets to decide on another interest rate hike. Of note will be the Fed's response to current economic concerns, mainly high oil prices, and the impact Hurricane Katrina will have on our economy. We will bring the details tomorrow right here on Market Wrap, as we take one last look at the closing numbers to set up for Fed Day. Down across the board, energy had a big bump up today on the back of a tropical storm Rita. The Dow closes down 84, NASDAQ 15, the S&P just short of 7. And that will do it for CNBC Market Wrap on this Monday. Allison Stewart and Melissa Stark back at MSNBC World Headquarters, guys.
Thanks a lot, Dylan, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Allison Stewart.
And I'm Melissa Stark. Thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. We're following a lot of stories for you this hour. But let's first start with NBC Weather Plus meteorologist Bill Cairns, who's been following the path of Tropical Storm Rita. Bill, what can you tell us?
Well, not a tropical storm for long. We're going to continue monitoring this system, and we want to go over to our Graphics 92 computer. We can actually show you exactly what we're going to be watching with this storm. You can see the current position here pretty much south of Miami, and you can notice that we had a little bit of rapid intensification as we went throughout the afternoon. Now that's kind of dying off just a little bit, but you can notice the storm is getting ever so close now to South Florida, where the evacuations are ongoing there. We've already seen wind gusts on some of those high bridges. We're on the Key West. It's just a whole string of bridges that connects all those islands. They're off the ground. Winds already gusting to 40 miles per hour, so both hands on the steering wheel. Let's show you the currents on the storm. Winds 70 miles per hour, almost a hurricane. It's cruising too, 14 miles per hour. So this isn't like Ophelia where it's going to sit around for a long time. This storm has a goal in mind, and that's that west-northwest direction, near South Florida, near northern Cuba, right through the middle, and then into the Gulf over the next couple of days. And we do expect it to keep intensifying, possibly right over the top of Key West, becoming a Category 2 storm. So that's getting to the dangerous scale here. Category 1s, we know what they can do. They can do the minor wind damage. Category 2s, we start going up the scale, and as you know, with a 3 or a 4, it's a whole different ballgame. So now, after we're done with Florida and the storm, which will take us probably until about Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, then we go into the Gulf, and there's really nothing that's going to stop this storm from continuing that west-northwest track. The question is going to be, as we go throughout the upcoming week, how strong can the storm get? The water's warm, the winds are going to be light, we shouldn't see much interference with the storm, possibly a low-end Category 2, as high as possibly a strong Category 4. I think that's the window. Right now the Hurricane Center is going right in the middle with a Category 3 storm. The question is, when is the storm going to take that northward turn? There's going to be a cold front and a trough approaching this system towards Friday. If that comes sooner, this could head up towards New Orleans. If that trough is slower, it could go further south down towards San Antonio, Brownsville, Texas. So a lot of questions to be answered, ladies, but regardless, it's going to interfere with a lot of people's lives this week.
All right, Bill, we'll check back with you shortly. I know a lot of people watching that very closely. Thanks very much. Meanwhile, at the White House, President Bush is watching to see what happens with Tropical Storm Rita as well.
Real concern that I think everybody ought to pay attention to, and that is this Tropical Storm Rita, which now looks like it's going to head out into the Gulf and could track Katrina, or it could head further to the west. But
President Bush says if New Orleans gets more rain, the levees could be breached again. And Florida's Governor Jeb Bush will hold a news conference at about Tropical Storm Rita at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. As soon as it happens, we will certainly bring that to you live. Allison?
Officials say the mayor of New Orleans is rethinking his plan to allow residents back into the city. Despite warnings from the federal officials in charge of relief efforts and President Bush himself, many residents did return to their homes today. NBC's Jay Gray joins us from New Orleans with more. And this has been a little bit of a push and pull between local officials and federal officials, right, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely, Allison. I think that's continuing today as well. We have not heard from the mayor yet. He does plan to address the media at some point this afternoon, but he spent a lot of time this morning getting an earful from a lot of federal officials about his plan to move people in. As you talked about, there have been a lot of people returning to this city throughout the day today. Now, it looks pretty quiet where we are right now. Let me tell you that there's been a lot of activity, not only here in the French Quarter, but all around New Orleans, while that debate continues to grow over just how busy it really should be here.
Thousands of people are trying to get back into New Orleans right now.
You know, that's not one of the areas that's open right now, that address.
But there are growing concerns that too many people are moving back into this area too fast.
it's just a matter of timing. And there's issues to be dealt with.
Close to 40% of the city is still underwater, covered in muck and sludge, and there's a very real worry about serious disease and infection. Debris still litters much of New Orleans, and the power is down in several areas.
let me give you a real concern that I think everybody ought to pay attention to, and that is this tropical storm Rita.
If the storm turns their way, the battered levees in New Orleans are nowhere near ready for another punch, and there's still no plan in place to get people out. Still, the cleanup has shifted into high gear in Algiers.
What else are you going to do? I mean, you can't just walk away from it.
This was the first official day residents were allowed to return, though many have been here for more than a week.
Hopefully, we all pull together and make this happen. It's a slow process, but a sure process.
And a process that is now at the center of the latest storm over just how fast New Orleans should try to come back.
And while local and federal officials continue what we should probably call a discussion over that timeline, many of the business owners here in the French Quarter are continuing to work, and some say they hope to open for business as early as this week. Live in New Orleans, I'm Jay Gray. Allison, back to you.
Jay, thanks for all the details. To our question of the day, what do you think? Should New Orleans residents be allowed back at home despite all those potential dangers? You can email a response to question@msnbc.com. Checking our website, of those folks who've logged on, 28% say yes, New Orleans residents should be allowed back despite all the potential dangers. 72% disagreed. Keep those emails coming to question@msnbc.com.
In Gulfport, Mississippi, rescuers are working against the clock to save a group of trained dolphins originally thought to be lost in Hurricane Katrina. For the latest in the ongoing saga, NBC's Ron Mott joins us from Gulfport. Good afternoon, Ron.
Hi there, Melissa. Good day to you. You can almost sense the heartbreak beginning to set in here for these rescuers as they've gone now 2 full days out here in the Gulf of Mexico without any sight of these 4 dolphins that they so love in those waters. Now, of course, they were swept away during Hurricane Katrina out of their tanks. These tanks have walls about 30 feet high. They suspect the storm surge reached about 35 to 40 feet, swept them out to sea. They were gone for 10 days, and then miraculously they showed up, all 8 of them together, and rescuers then began hatching a plan to see how they could get them out of the water. So they set out some mats, 2 mats that some scientists have gone out there, and they sit out there on the mats, they blow whistles, they bang pails, and these animals are trained to know that there is some food coming when they hear those sounds. They came right away. They started feeding them vitamins and medicine for all the cuts and scratches that they got out of the storm, and they began to teach them how to beach themselves on those mats. They were able to rescue 4 of them that way, but these last 4 are still in the water, and they're beginning to get really concerned that they may be lost at sea, never to be found again. Of course, the major concern for their safety is that they don't have any real hunting skills. They've never really been in that position to sort of hunt on their own and feed themselves. So when they first encountered them after being missing for 10 days, they were very hungry. They don't know if they ate at all, and so the real concern is whether they can survive in those waters by themselves. Melissa, back to you.
You realize in this storm that very little was spared. Ron Mott, thanks so much for that update.
There's a lot more to come this hour on MSNBC, including details on new leads in the search for a missing college student from Virginia who disappeared mysteriously more than 10 days ago.
And then we'll take you to Houston, where hurricane evacuees who are still in shelters got a visit from the First Lady Laura Bush. That's ahead. We'll be right back.
You're a homeowner and you need cash, call or log on to ditech.com and take the Ditech Challenge. We'll guarantee you the lowest rate and fee and help you to consolidate debts and lower your payments, even if your credit is less than perfect. Call 1-800-80-DITECH.
I'm going to give it to you straight. Everything has to come together. You got to get 795 online equity trades, 7 independent sources of research, and 24/7 customer service. You got to get access to IPOs and a single brokerage and banking account, and you got to get it all from one place. Now who's with me?
For the investor who wants it all, Harris Direct Online Investing, the straight stuff.
Hey, can you help me?
We'd like to order now.
Excuse me. Oh my gosh.
Whatever happened to customer service? At DHL, it's alive and well.
Consider it done.
Call us and see how we're changing the way the shipping business does business.
All I want is a room somewhere, a business trip beyond compare. Hampton keeps me on my game. Folks who care and know my name. All I want is all the comforts that I need, helping me to succeed. Wouldn't it be lovely?
Love the fun ways that Mom makes mealtime into something great. Campbell's tomato soup, possibilities. A grilled cheese dunk just hits the spot. The great ideas never stop. Campbell's tomato soup, possibilities. Lots of goldfish, crackers swimming, wholesome goodness you might be missing. Campbell's, good possibilities.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, State Farm understands the devastating toll of this catastrophe, and we're here to help. If you're a State Farm customer who needs to file a claim but have been displaced and can't reach your State Farm agent, contact any State Farm agent near your current location or call 1-800-SF-CLAIM. That's 1-800-732-5246 or visit statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Would you like to turn your equity into cash you can use for any purpose? Just log on to ditech.com for your free online e-appraisal. Right now we're offering a low fixed-rate home equity loan with a flat fee of just $49. Call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Now more on Tropical Storm Rita, which is expected to become a hurricane this afternoon. Right now it's located more than 350 miles from Key West, and it is getting stronger. That's why about 40,000 Florida Keys residents were ordered to evacuate. For the latest on that, let's head to Key West. That's where we find Tom Yamas from NBC station WTVJ and former MSNBCer. Tom, nice to talk to you again.
Hey, Allison, good talking to you too. Well, that's right. There's an emergency order right now for everyone to leave the Keys region. Now, this is in effect because people are afraid that people aren't going to evacuate right now, and this is the reason why. If you look just behind me, you can see some locals and some tourists still milling around Duval Street, which is like Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Now, all the bars on Duval Street are still open, and they say they're going to stay open until they lose power. So that's the kind of atmosphere you have here. Even though there's numerous outlets for people to leave Key West right now, they're shuttling buses from Key West to shelters in Miami. Now, there are no shelters in the Keys region right now. They close them all, and the reason is because they actually want people to leave. They don't want anybody staying here. The thing they're afraid of most with this possible Hurricane Rita is the storm surge. Key West is at sea level, kind of like New Orleans is, and there's many low-lying areas. So if a storm surge of 6 to 8 feet hits the island, the entire island, which is only about 6 square miles, will flood. And that's why people want everyone to leave. They're asking that everyone, if you're even considering staying in your house, and some people are considering staying in their houseboats, which is at this point a little bit insane, they're asking for everyone to go. Now, if you call 911 when this potential Hurricane Rita hits Key West, 911 they won't be able to respond because after the winds reach 40 miles per hour, police and fire are not going to respond to any calls. So the message they're trying to get out is that if you live in the Keys region, you need to go. Allison?
Message is pretty clear. Tom Yamas, thanks so much for the report. And coming up, Florida Governor Jeb Bush is expected to hold a briefing on Rita. That's in just a few minutes, and we'll have that for you live when it happens.
And then, how should Senate Democrats vote on Judge John Roberts? We'll talk about the struggle they'll be dealing with right now with the Washington Post's Charles Babington. That's straight ahead.
Officials prepare to reopen New Orleans, but Joe wants to know, is the city really ready or are they putting people at risk? Scarborough Country, MSNBC tonight at 10. Something happened to me.
The fate of the world is in their hands. They just don't know it. Surface premieres tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC.
Go to your average bank, get a mortgage, and buy a house like this. Go to Wachovia, meet with a mortgage specialist who can show you a range of financing options, and buy a house more like this. Getting more house for your money. That's a mortgage at Wachovia.
To work with a Wachovia mortgage specialist, call 1-866-908-HOUSE or go online today.
Hey, congrats, Harold. I hear they're sending you to L.A. for the negotiations.
Why him?
Because he can convince anybody of anything.
That's not true.
You're
No, that's not true. He's right. It's not true at all.
I don't know what I said.
Actually, I was being modest. It is true.
Yeah, right.
He's right. That is true.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah. Can you give me some papaya? Sure. Yeah. Coming right up.
They chose you for a reason, and you chose Embassy Suites for a reason, like our spacious 2 rooms. Embassy Suites Hotels.
Soto & Partners.
McPhee & Associates. King Brokers. Hi.
Now with free incoming plans from Sprint Business, it's easier to say yes when customers call. And with our buy one, get one free deal, you and your company can say yes. Sprint Business gives you free incoming calls from all phones, all networks, all the time. So you can make just about any place a workplace. Call 877-63-SPRINT or visit a Sprint or Nextel store today. Sprint Business. Yes, you can.
Let Empire Glass replace your cracked windshield, and we'll give you 24 free dinners to Sherry's Restaurants, where you'll enjoy great food and delicious pies all day, every day. And we offer free mobile service to your home or office. So for the highest quality windshields and 24 free dinners to Sherry's, call Empire Glass today at 503-251-9881. And remember, when you think glass, think Empire.
We've tried to make our practice the type of doctor's office we'd want to visit ourselves.
When it's about your health, you shouldn't have to wait.
At Hillsborough Internal Medicine, you can call for a same-day or next-day appointment.
We have the technology to perform many lab services right here in our office.
Okay, we're almost done here. And we can discuss the results before your appointment is over.
Whether you just need a physical or have multiple medical issues, we're here for you.
We're Hillsborough Internal Medicine.
It's not just what we treat.
It's how we treat you.
Now, MSNBC has the only primetime cable news lineup that's live at 11, giving you the biggest primetime in cable news. At 7, Hardball with Chris Matthews. At 8, Countdown with Keith Olbermann. At 9, the all-new Rita Cosby live and direct. At 10, Scarborough Country. Then at 11, it's The Situation with Tucker Carlson. The only cable newscast that's live at 11. The biggest primetime in cable news. Only on MSNBC.
And you're looking at a live picture coming out of Florida. We're expecting a news conference from Governor Jeb Bush, a briefing about Tropical Storm Rita, expected to reach hurricane status by as early as 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern Time this afternoon. Of course, we'll bring that news conference to you live when it happens.
And right now, we want to get you the latest update on Tropical Storm Rita.
For the latest on that, let's check in with NBC meteorologist Bill Karen at the NBC Weather Plus Center. Hi, Bill.
Well, good afternoon, ladies. One thing everyone wants to know is, where is the storm going to go? And we try to give you a little insight into how the Hurricane Center makes their projections. You know that yellow cone that we watch, that cone of uncertainty, I like to call it? Well, this is what they use. They have all these computer models. I just have 5 of them on here, but they maybe have 10 to 20 different computer models. But these tend to be some of the most reliable ones. And each one of these lines is the actual track that is being predicted over the next 4 to 5 days by all of these computers. And usually there's going to be some that are going to be a little to the far right or some to the left. And usually you can almost kind of say the consensus is in the middle somewhere here. That's pretty much what the Hurricane Center's forecast is right now. Notice how about 4 of these 5 lines all take the storm somewhere near Galveston, heading right towards Houston. And that's why that is the area of concern for now. But we also have that yellow cone that goes all the way far south here of Texas, all the way down into northern portions of Mexico. And there's also about 1 or 2 computer models that are taking the storm right along into the Louisiana coastline. And that's why New Orleans is included in that cone, too. So, and these change every 12 hours. So it's not like this is set in stone from now to then. We'll just continue to monitor this, and this is where we'll see our trends. And unfortunately, the trend over the last 24 hours has been to a lot of these computer models to be inching a little further northwards. And that's why we're now expecting things a little further to the north. It looks like Texas and Louisiana, areas of concern.
Bill Cairns, thank you so much. I'd like to take you live now to Florida. Governor Jeb Bush has just stepped to the podium. Let's listen in on his comments on Tropical Storm Rita.
Strengthened very quickly. A hurricane warning is in effect from Key West through Miami-Dade County, including mainland Monroe County. There are currently mandatory evacuations for the entire Florida Keys, island chain, and mainland Monroe. Voluntary evacuations are also underway in Miami-Dade for the barrier islands and low-lying areas, and I believe there's a mandatory evacuation for mobile homes. A hurricane watch is in effect for Broward County, and evacuations are recommended for all residents in mobile homes. Just to put this in perspective, that's a population of approximately 5 million people. If you count from Monroe County through Monroe and from Miami-Dade and Broward County, this is impacting a significant number of potential people. Weather conditions will grow steadily worse tonight and tomorrow. At last check, the Florida Highway Patrol is reporting that traffic is heavy, but moving very smoothly out of the Keys. The tolls have been lifted on the Miami-Dade County portion of the Florida Turnpike and Card Sound Road, and if we need to make additional adjustments going forward, we will do so. Deputy sheriffs and Florida Highway Patrol troopers are also staggered at various locations along US 1 to assist motorists. A lot of people probably think that it's difficult to evacuate. On a normal day, driving US 1 to the mainland can be a challenge, but I can assure you that we train for this and we prepare for this, and there's assistance for people, and they should leave if they've been asked to do so. This is an important thing to do. There is an adequate supply of fuel for everyone along the evacuation route. South Florida ports won't be shutting down this afternoon, which is good news for us as it relates to the ongoing efforts to secure sizable inventories of gasoline to deal with the preparation for this storm as well as the aftermath of the storm. One special needs shelter is open at Florida International University in Miami and West Miami for the special needs population of Monroe County. Additional special needs shelters have been identified and will open this evening in Miami-Dade County and in Broward County. All three acute care hospitals in the Keys have evacuated and will be closed. All 30 patients were moved to either Baptist Health System in Miami or Highlands Regional Medical Center in Sebring. This was done with C-130s. The nursing home in Key West evacuated all 98 patients to Sunrise Health and Rehab Center in Sunrise, Florida. The nursing home in Tavernier is currently evacuating all 95 patients by ground transport. 31 vulnerable adults residing in assisted living facilities are being evacuated via ground transportation. The intent here is to make sure that all special needs people and frail Floridians are taken care of first and foremost, and I believe our team has done a pretty good job working with local emergency responders to do just that. On Sunday, the National Guard received my latest executive order in anticipation of Rita. Many of these guardsmen have participated in response and recovery operations over the past year, and Floridians can rest assured that these battle-tested citizen soldiers will be there to provide assistance for them. Many of our guardsmen and women are also serving and helping our neighbors to the west in the impacted areas hit by Hurricane Katrina, but rest assured that we have approximately general 8,000 troops available to support our emergency operations. We will be there after this storm, as we have been with every storm that has hit. I've just sent a letter to President Bush asking for an emergency declaration to support all of these activities. And to conclude, let me just say that all of these storms, regardless of the category force of its winds, are dangerous storms. I worry, we've been hit by so many storms that people now are kind of quantifying between the varying, whether it's category 1, oh, don't worry about that one, it's not a category 4. These storms can gain power very, very quickly, and people are forewarned. This is serious business, and they need to make sure that they have their personal and family disaster plans in place, that they have enough food and water to take care of themselves and their families for the 72 hours after the storm hits. With permission of those that may not speak Spanish, if you don't mind, I'd like to say a few words in Spanish. Buenas tardes. La tormenta tropical Rita probablemente será un huracán.
That is Florida Governor Jeb Bush addressing the media and the citizens of Florida, letting them know there is indeed a mandatory evacuation for the Keys in anticipation of Tropical Storm Rita becoming Hurricane Rita. There is also a suggested evacuation for the counties just north. And the governor said that when you add up all those counties' suggested evacuation, you're talking about an area where at least 5 million people lived. He did did say that there is adequate fuel along the evacuation routes for those who will be driving out, and that evacuation is going well out of the Keys. He also said that on Sunday, the National Guard was activated, and there are 8,000 troops he described as experienced who are ready to take on the strength of the storm. He has also sent a letter to President Bush to support these declarations. And finally, the governor said he would like for all citizens to really heed these warnings and not suffer from hurricane fatigue and think just because it might be a Category 1 storm, it is far less dangerous than any other storms. We'll continue to monitor the governor's remarks and bring you any new information as we get it. Melissa?
Certainly taking it very seriously. Now the latest from New Orleans. Mayor Ray Nagin may be rethinking his timetable for when residents can return to the city. Nagin had been advocating an immediate return to parts of the city. A spokesperson for the mayor says external factors such as Tropical Storm Rita has the mayor reconsidering his plan. Some residents from the Algiers neighborhood did return home today. Algiers was one of the few places that didn't suffer from extensive flooding. However, Coast Guard Vice Admiral Thad Allen is urging people not to rush back into areas where basics like drinkable water, telephones, and 911 service are still unavailable. Even when people do begin returning, one major problem will be the lack of hospitals. There are more than a dozen hospitals in New Orleans, but none, I repeat, none have resumed normal operations yet, although one infirmary may reopen on Wednesday. And National Guard troops searching for victims of Katrina have been finding a lot of the loot that was taken the days right after the storm. They've turned up everything from clothes to guns to stolen ATM machines. And police say that they are seizing the items, but they aren't making any arrests yet. Allison?
We turn to Texas. Hurricane evacuees are still in some shelters. Got a visit today from First Lady Laura Bush. NBC's Janet Shamlian is at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston with the details. Hi, Janet.
Hello, Allison. She manned the cafeteria line here, greeting evacuees and volunteers as she has in other cities since the storm. She was joined by U.S. Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison and a number of other officials. From here, she went to a place called the House of Tiny Treasures. That is a facility, a daycare, sheltering some of the younger evacuees. She also visited a home improvement store, which has hired many evacuees in the days after the storm. The story here continues to be how these shelters are decreasing in size. Here at the Brown Convention Center, they're down to just about 300 evacuees. Across town at the Reliant Arena, 1,285, fewer than 1,600 in all. These are shelters that housed more than 25,000 people in recent weeks. The city's occupancy rate for both hotels and apartments has increased dramatically, and the city is now focusing on meeting the long-term needs of these folks. They are setting up a large warehouse-type building. It will be under the direction of FEMA, but Allison, it will house more than 90 social service agencies, everything from education grants to phone banks and internet access. That's the latest from here in Houston. Allison?
All much needed. Janet Shamlian, thanks so much. We'll be right back.
Closing Bell Report is brought to you by Sprint Business. Sprint Business, yes you can.
Sprint Business is reinventing the yes man, turning the yes man into someone who can work from almost anywhere. And now that Sprint and Nextel have come together, you can work in and out of the office more efficiently, the way 96% of the Fortune 1000 already do. So if saying yes from just about anywhere with speed and confidence makes me a yes man, I'm a yes man.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Yes, you can.
New Promise Buttery Spread helps maintain a healthy heart when eaten instead of butter or margarine. And now it's rich with heart health essentials like omega-3 and vitamins B6 and 12. Plus, there's no trans fat and lots of creamy, buttery taste. In fact, it's our healthiest and tastiest buttery spread yet. No wonder hearts are beating louder. New Promise Buttery Spread, taking your health to heart.
This is a leap in unmanned systems that will save pilots from the most perilous missions. This, a breakthrough in composite technology to make airplanes stronger and more efficient. This is a new chapter in space, satellites that will capture and repair other satellites. At Boeing, we do things others call impossible. Doing the impossible is one of the things we do best. Boeing, forever new frontiers.
It's time for the lending industry to change. That's why eLoan has consultants who don't make money based on the rate of the loan and has no lender fees. Those are some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
Need control of your sales materials so your field staff from coast to coast can order the current documents online. From printing to online document management, turn to PIP to turn down the stress. PIP, easing the pain of business.
I want to see Europe. I want financial freedom.
I want to find my A game.
I want proven success.
Get what you want with the power of the pyramid. Transamerica's experts offer tailor-made insurance, investment, and retirement solutions to help you achieve anything you want.
I want to feel the wind through my hair.
Well, almost anything. Transamerica, the power of the pyramid.
If you missed Rita Cosby live and direct last week, you missed a lot. This week, John Walsh is in the storm zone, helping put families back together. Live and direct, MSNBC weeknights at 9.
Judge John Roberts has a big week as Senate Democrats vote to decide if he will be the next Supreme Court Justice of the United States. Senator Arlen Specter spoke earlier and said that he intends to vote for John Roberts. Many say Roberts will be an acceptable justice, but party activists are clamoring for a no vote. So should they hold off the fight for the next nominee or go every inch of the way? Joining us is congressional reporter Charles Babington from the Washington Post. Hi, Charles. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Melissa.
So during the hearings last week, Judge Roberts declined to discuss abortion, as we all saw, and of course Roe v. Wade, and Senate Democrats were especially not happy with this. Will this impact the Democrats' vote?
That's one of the many considerations. Abortion was one of the big topics, of course, but in fact what you said at the top of the segment is the main thing. This is really all about the next nominee, because it's a foregone conclusion that Roberts will be confirmed. The only question is how many Democratic votes will he get and not get. And the party activists are saying, you know, we need those who want a large negative vote are saying you need to send a signal to President Bush that we will really fight hard if you send a very strong conservative to the court on the next nominee. And others are saying, no, let's don't put up a big fight here. Let's save it for the next one.
Well, Bush plans to meet with some of the top Democrats on the Judiciary Committee on Wednesday to discuss possible nominees to fill Judge Sandra Day O'Connor's position, which we were just talking about. I mean, who do you think are possible nominees?
Well, there's going to be, Melissa, because this slot is for Sandra Day O'Connor, and there's only one female on the court when O'Connor leaves, there'll be a lot of pressure for him to name a woman or quite possibly a Hispanic. There's never been a Hispanic on the court. So the thinking is you probably will not get a white male, as John Roberts was. And then the question is, how conservative will this person be, and what kind of shape will the Democrats be in? Of course, as we know, the Republicans control the Senate.
Okay, and so what possible roadblocks do you think that this candidate might face?
I think this candidate, the biggest roadblock this candidate faces, Melissa, is that he or she will be succeeding Sandra Day O'Connor. As we know, O'Connor was a swing vote on so many 5-4 decisions on the court. Roberts, originally he was for O'Connor's seat, but he ended up being the Rehnquist seat, and Rehnquist was a solid conservative vote. So a conservative for a conservative didn't make that much difference. If it's conservative for a centrist, that's where the Democrats are really going to dig in, or the liberals, and try to fight hard.
So you don't think Democratic supporters at this point are thinking about Roberts at all? They're just going to bypass that and go for the next candidate?
Well, they are thinking about Roberts, and they're concerned about his conservatism, and they're concerned that he didn't answer all the questions and that the White House didn't give him all the documents they wanted. They know they can't stop him, so in a way it's a symbolic vote, but of course it is about on the merits of what he is and what he said. But it will send a signal to how the Democrats are going to approach the next nominee. So it's really kind of both at the same time.
All right, congressional reporter Charles Babington, thanks so much for joining us. And you can read Charles' article tomorrow in the Washington Post and on WashingtonPost.com. Allison?
Melissa, 3 weeks after Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast and devastated the city of New Orleans, some people there are being let back into the city today. NBC's Kerry Sanders took an aerial tour to see how the city's doing.
I was on a helicopter that came in with the first squadron of helicopters that were providing with search and rescues. This is what we saw then. Those helicopter rescues are over, but what we can see there is what's left in the aftermath. That's one of the holes that was punched out. The water level has dropped here. It's not completely gone, but at one point, the water was right up to the roof. Today as we fly over, there are some hopeful signs, some encouraging signs that life can be rebuilt here, that people will be able to eventually come home. I mean, just broken into pieces, and it looks like items, perhaps bales of cardboard or something that were ripped out of some of the semi-trailers that were here. And look at this. All of that is out of the way now. Can come straight on through. That's really a shock to see that. I didn't expect to see that. And you can see this one actually moved, and I don't know how they're going to get it out of there. And this is what it looks like today. But what they're doing is they're working on step number 1 of how they're going to get it out of there. You can see what looked like dominoes. That was a bridge once. But as we take a look up at this bridge, something has arrived, which is good news, and there it is. There is a barge here, and a barge with a crane on it. You can see some homes that were literally, it looks like Godzilla literally stepped on them and squashed them. This is that exact same neighborhood. No change. Still a mess. There are very few buildings standing. Almost everything was crushed by the force of the hurricane as it came through. About the only sign of anybody being here and doing anything in the past 3 weeks is right here. Somebody came through here with a plow, and they've actually cleared out one of the lots. The area's been cleared, but that's it. Everything else in the shadows here, still a mess. We may have seen some progress in some places where areas have been cleaned up and things are looking a lot better, but here, status quo. Still a long way to go.
And that was NBC's Carrie Sanders reporting. President Bush is promising that the United States will foot the bill to rebuild following Hurricane Katrina, but some say the cost to rebuild could reach $200 billion. Joining us from Washington, D.C. is Steve Ellis, Vice President for Programs with Taxpayers for Common Sense. And Steve, it's a simple question. Can we afford to rebuild this area?
Well, I think there's no question that we're going to be rebuilding it. And so then it's a question of how do we pay for it, really? And right now, the answer that we're getting out of the White House and a lot of members of Congress is unsatisfactory, and that is we're going to borrow the money from our children and our grandchildren in the form of deficit spending.
And you wrote that on the website, on your site's website, we should say that you are a nonpartisan website. The president must demand offsets to help pay for Katrina spending in the upcoming emergency spending bill. What kind of offsets are you talking about?
Well, I think everything has to be on the table. I mean, we should be looking at spending cuts. Could be delaying some of our procurement for new weapon systems. It could be looking at some of the president's previous proposals to reform agricultural commodity programs to save billions of dollars. And it should be looking at some of people's cherished initiatives, like the mission to Mars. And then lastly, we're going to have to look at the revenue side of the picture, the revenue side of the ledger, which is tax cuts, and maybe delaying some of the proposed tax cuts into the future so that we can afford this big bill.
All right. And Steve, before I ask you my final question, I do want to let our viewers know at home that Mayor Ray Nagin of New Orleans is suspending allowing people to come into the city. He just made that announcement a short time ago because of the new storm threat of Tropical Storm Rita, which is expected to turn into a hurricane and could enter the Gulf Coast region. Once again, people entering New Orleans, once again, has been suspended by Mayor Ray Nagin. We'll get you more details about that. And Steve, before I let you go, wondering your opinion on this. In terms of the spending that is going in the rebuilding cost, do you think there should be a one-time enormous expense, or realistically, isn't it a long-term series of expenses?
Well, there's going to be a big infusion of cash right here at the beginning. I mean, we've already put in $60 billion, and that's a down payment. And then, yeah, it's going to definitely trickle on for several years. And that should also be the way that we offset the spending, that we should try to offset a lot of it up front, but recognizing that we should have a 5-year plan to pay for the cost so it doesn't add to our debt.
Steve Ellis from Taxpayers for Common Sense, we thank you so much.
Thank you.
Health Watch is next on MSNBC. See how kids displaced by Hurricane Katrina are now eligible for free immunizations. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
MSNBC citizen journalists have sent in amazing video, pictures, and reports. If you want to be a citizen journalist, log on to cj.msnbc.com.
At Hyundai, we believe for all the ways we can help you survive an accident, we should provide just as many to help you avoid one. The all-new 2006 Sonata. The only mid-size sedan with electronic stability control and 6 airbags standard. It's a Hyundai like you've never seen before.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
Hey everybody, who's ready?
Oh, I gotta take my XLA.
Did you?
Whoa, where's my XLA? Hey, did you take my XLA?
So, is this what you take, XLA? Yeah, it's amazing. It really helps me keep the pounds off. So, where did you get this bottle? Inside. Why? Oh no.
Get your XLA today at your favorite supercenter, Duane Reade, and GNC. Just don't mess with Marshall's XLA.
I'm not what you would call a do-it-yourselfer. Like that time with my new HD TV. Thankfully, to get high-def programming from Comcast, I didn't have to install anything myself. One call and they did the rest. Now I get all these great HD channels, HD TV on demand, even an HD DVR, all without buying any expensive equipment. They really saved me from myself.
That's HD made easy. Comcast. Get an exclusive rebate from Comcast when you buy a Panasonic HD TV from Comcast.Panasonic.com.
Sadly, arthritis pain can mean the end of life's little pleasures. But not for people who use Aleve. People whose doctors have told them the good news about the strength and safety of Aleve. The good news that only Aleve can stop arthritis pain all day with just 2 pills. That would take 8 Tylenol. Take back the pleasure arthritis pain took away. Ask your doctor about the good news. Ask your doctor about Aleve.
Health Watch is brought to you by Aleve, safe and strong all day long.
In your Health Watch today, children displaced by Hurricane Katrina will still be able to get their annual shots. The federal government is providing free immunizations through the Vaccines for Children program. And all children qualify for this program, even if they have health insurance. And no matter where they are staying, at a shelter, at a hotel, or with other family members. And we want to update you on some news that we just received. The mayor of New Orleans, Ray Nagin, has just announced that he will put a stop on all residents returning to the city. There was some controversy about that earlier today. Vice Admiral Thad Allen, the man in charge of operations, did not want residents returning.
And the mayor said the reason is that the pending Hurricane Rita, she's now a tropical storm, may indeed hit the Gulf Coast region. He also said that some of the pumps weren't necessarily working, and if there's anything above a 3-foot storm surge, there would be, again, significant flooding. He said, quote, "I would rather err on the side of conservatism so we can make sure we have everyone out." So once again, residents not allowed back into New Orleans. That has been suspended within the past 10 to 20 minutes.
And we will continue following Tropical Storm Rita for you throughout the evening, coming up at the top of the hour. But coming up next,
Hardball with Chris Matthews at 5 Eastern. Stay with us. You're watching MSNBC.
The big stories, the big interviews. Rita Cosby live and direct.
On the satellite loop, we have a storm moving through the Great Lakes and a trailing front back into the Central Plains, causing some showers and strong thunderstorms. Here's the AccuWeather forecast for the rest of the day. No travel problems in Boston or Charlotte going into the evening hours. In Denver, looking at mostly clear skies. Detroit, though, will see a shower and thunderstorm around during the evening. May cause some delays, as well as in Chicago. Pittsburgh, just partly cloudy.
Sprint Business is reinventing the yes man, turning the yes man into someone who can work from almost anywhere. And now that Sprint and Nextel have come together, you can work in and out of the office more efficiently, the way 96% of the Fortune 1000 already do. So saying yes from just about anywhere with speed and confidence makes me a yes man. I'm a yes man.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Yes, you can.
I want is a room somewhere, a business trip beyond compare. Houston keeps me on my game. Folks who care and know my name. All I want is all the comforts that I need, helping me to succeed. Wouldn't it be lovely?
Hello. Try a delicious apple. Contains all the knowledge of the universe.
Look, I know you're Satan. If I eat this apple, we're gonna have to start wearing clothes and worrying about things like tax brackets and counting carbs. So, no thanks.
Hindsight is easy. It's thinking ahead that's hard. But that's how Liberty Mutual serves our customers and why we're one of the world's leading insurance companies.
Officials prepare to reopen New Orleans, but Joe wants to know, is the city really ready or are they putting people at risk? Scarborough Country, MSNBC tonight at 10.
Fear and loathing in a flooded city. Who should we trust in this latest battle of New Orleans? Let's play hardball. Good evening, I'm Chris Matthews. The battle over New Orleans continues today. After initially allowing residents to return to New Orleans, Mayor Ray Nagin suspended the reopening of the city. The mayor wanted some of the residents to return, but the head of the federal government's response team, Vice Admiral Thad Allen, said it's too early, and today President Bush himself weighed in.
We want this city to reemerge. I mean, as I said, I can't imagine America without a vibrant New Orleans. It's just a matter of timing. And there's issues to be dealt with. I mean, again, if it were to rain a lot, there is concern from the Army Corps of Engineers that the levees might break. And so, therefore, we're cautious about encouraging people to return at this moment of history.
So is it safe to come back to New Orleans? New Orleans still lacks drinkable water, and food and bottled water is scarce. The environment is toxic with the soil and remaining floodwater contaminated. Hospitals are closed, and the 9/11 emergency system is still not in place. And a weakened levee system, obviously, could be tested by Tropical Storm Rita, which is headed to Florida today and could turn towards New Orleans later this week by Thursday. We start with Hardball's David Schuster. David, it's a tough fight here, and it looks like the mayor of New Orleans has dodged it.
Yeah, he has, Chris. And in fact, this morning, the New Orleans neighborhood of Algiers, which is across the Mississippi from downtown, the mayor had actually encouraged people in Algiers to go ahead and return, and they were doing that. But today, even though he had said that he was satisfied with the levee system and the water quality, he pointed out that Hurricane Rita looks like it may be approaching the Gulf, and so he put the rest of his plans for the city on hold and urged the residents of Algiers, who today were going back into Algiers, he urged them to start evacuating as early as Wednesday. In recent days, the mayor had declared 180,000 residents would be allowed back over the next week and a half. But federal officials noted a host of problems, including a patchwork or lack of water, sewage, and electricity services.
Our concerns lie when you have the general population returning in large numbers without the proper infrastructure to support them.
And even President Bush today urged the New Orleans mayor to slow down.
Mayor, he's got this dream about having a city up and running, and we share that dream. But we also want to be realistic about some of the hurdles and obstacles that we all confront in repopulating New Orleans.
But the mixed messages have confused many residents who are reoccupying or visiting their homes anyway. The French Quarter suffered only limited water damage, and in the downtown business district, hotels and restaurants have begun to open, catering to the thousands of law enforcement and military troops patrolling the city. One of the biggest fears officials have for returning residents involves health care. New Orleans has more than a dozen hospitals, but none have resumed normal operations. And while a few clinics are rushing to reopen this week, health experts are concerned that some may be moving too quickly before all the mold and contaminants are removed. Furthermore, power lines and debris still litter many neighborhoods, including those that will be among the first to officially reopen. Other neighborhoods are simply uninhabitable, and federal officials say the standing water in parts of the city is still dangerous.
Really high levels of E. coli and fecal coliforms, creating a significant health hazard if you come in contact with it.
But despite the pleas from the federal government, many residents of New Orleans seem to believe that the issue of when to return, that timetable, is an issue that they should decide for themselves. And as one resident argued to us last week, Chris, the federal government lost its credibility, according to this resident, several weeks ago. I suppose one of the big questions is, what are the residents there going to do now that they see Hurricane Rita approaching?
What do you think the politics are? Why is the mayor in a rush to get his people back?
The mayor's under a tremendous amount of pressure because some of the suburbs to the north and west of New Orleans, Jefferson Parish, they have already been urged, those residents have been urged to go ahead and return to the city. You've got Aaron Broussard, the president of that Jefferson Parish, who was encouraging people to go back, and there's the mayor with a host of problems, and he wants to be able to keep up with some of the suburbs.
Okay, thank you, David Schuster. Aaron Broussard is the president of Jefferson Parish. He joins us by phone. Just to get the geography straight, Mr. Broussard, your territory is outside of the city limits of New Orleans, or does it override a bit of it?
Sir, we are on the western edge of New Orleans. We have a population of 500,000 people, same as New Orleans. In fact, temporarily, of course, we are the biggest parish in the state right now. And with the eastern exposure gone, with the twin spans collapsed across the Wrigley's, people have to get to Orleans, St. Bernard, and Plaquemines Parish through the west. That means they're going to have to travel through my parish, and we're glad to host them as they come through. Hopefully we'll be able to host them and help rebuild those three parishes with the resources that we'll be able to start up faster because our infrastructure wasn't damaged to the same degree,
right,
and we weren't contaminated to the same degree. So if we're fortunate, we have to take that fortunate circumstance and help our fellow parishes, and we're going to do that.
Who's right, the president, or rather the FEMA people, the Admiral Allen, Thad Allen, or the mayor?
Well, sir, if you have three blind people holding different parts of the elephant, they're all going to describe different parts of the elephant and what it looks like from them. And I think what you got from the mayor's point of view, he's got to go the Chamber of Commerce speech. He's got businesses telling them, look, if you don't announce New Orleans is reopened, we're going to have businesses moving their corporate offices. They're not going to come back. They're going to relocate not just around the region, they're going to relocate in other states, and they're going to keep all their client base by cell phone. So you got him taking the Chamber of Commerce route because he's dying to tell people, you got to come back, and we're going to help build New Orleans. You got the Admiral, who's in charge, thinking about all the issues of levee protection and contamination and things that he's in charge of. When you get on his side of the elephant, you're going, my goodness, safety first, security first, health first. And then you get the president, who's trying to balance, if you will. He's actually sitting on the seesaw between the mayor and FEMA, and you heard his comments. They were well scripted.
Yeah.
Look, we share the mayor's vision. Let's also share the Admiral's timetable, and between a vision and a timetable, let's get a reasonable consensus.
Well, we've been through this Alphonse and Gaston routine before when the mayor said, go to the convention center, wait there, the federal water will arrive. The federal water didn't arrive. He says go back to the city now. Where does he think the water is going to come from for the people to drink when they get there?
Sir, each of us in our own parishes, and I'm the same size as New Orleans, so each of us in our own parishes, we have a unique responsibility under emergency declarations. Basically, it's a form of martial law, and we're the marshals. I do not question what my fellow marshal does. I do not question what Mayor Nagin does. I do not envy his situation, and I just wish him the best and offer publicly my assistance in helping him jumpstart New Orleans. I offer the same to Parish President, Junior Rodriguez. I also offer the same to Plaquemines Parish President Benny Roussel. Whatever I can do to help them, I will help. But I cannot help them if I comment negatively. In that spirit of solid,
let me give you a chance to be solid with your fellow mayor, your neighboring mayor. Do you think he was under pressure from the White House to agree not to open his city?
Giving what?
Do you think the Mayor Nagin, your neighbor mayor, the mayor of New Orleans, do you think the White House or FEMA pressured him to say he was not inviting the people back this week, as he had been on?
I don't think they pressured him. I think they're trying to put in his face the arguments of what it takes to have a sustainable living condition.
Yeah.
The criteria that I made for people to return to Jefferson Parish in phases was that we had to invite them back to areas that had water, sewage, and electricity. Once an area met that criteria, then I reintroduced the population back to that geography. I did it in phases because I could not at one moment invite everybody back to a sustainable living condition. That was my criteria, and I stuck by it, and I invited everybody back home this weekend because I have reached, for the most part, those three criteria. Not that I'm without power outages isolated, not that I'm without sewage breaks, but for the most part, I could invite them back because those three elements were met. And in the areas of the 17th Street Canal flooding, we went in there and we checked it out. We did not have any bacteria contamination.
Well, let me ask you about a fact of water. We were told, I was watching Meet the Press this Sunday, yesterday, and Admiral Allen, Thad Allen, said there's no potable water, drinkable water in New Orleans. The mayor obviously believes there is, I suppose. Isn't that a factual dispute?
Well, somebody ought to drink it and monitor them for 10 days and let that be to the end of the dispute.
You think that's a safe way to go? I mean, Mayor, Mr. Broussard, I'm impressed by your passion, but I want to go to something I've been thinking about for about 48 hours now, and I'm sure you've been thinking about it.
I mean,
that first kid in New Orleans.
Coke competition, Chris.
Right, that first kid.
Coke. Somebody's got to test it.
Well, I want to ask you about the consequences of testing. The first kid in one of those neighborhoods who puts his hand into this fecal water, and we all know what I mean by that. It looks like goo. And he puts it in his mouth, and he dies because there's no 911 number, there's no hospital around. Who's going to pay the price for that?
Let's don't hype at that. Let me give you a clear example.
Okay.
A woman on the North Shore, that would be up in St. Tammany Parish, last year, after one of the flooding events, was evacuating people from a nursing home on the North Shore. Now, I know this family personally. I will not mention their name. She was doing a very kind thing, something that should have been done in New Orleans. Or other areas, including my parish, where people were left in nursing homes. She was out evacuating old people and nursing patients by lifting them up and carrying them through waist-deep water to an ambulance where they could be extracted. Now, about a couple of months after that, suddenly parts of her body began to break down inexplicably. Ultimately, I'll skip to the chase. About a month and a half ago, she went into a coma. That's when they traced she had creosote poisoning. They said, where in the world would this woman who had been exposed to a creosote plant?
Right.
Next door to the nursing home was an abandoned creosote plant. When the water level got so deep into the soil, it pulled up the creosote toxic chemicals. It floated into the nursing home, and this lady got it in her body by simply carrying old people out. Now, we don't need to hype at that. Yeah. That's how toxic this stuff can be, and that was from a flooding event on the North Shore, not in downtown New Orleans.
And you can smell creosote. It smells like the Atlantic City boardwalk, but it's often hard to detect.
Not when it's been underground for a number of years.
Well, I'm asking you about, you were kidding about, I know you were kidding about the, lightheartedly about having a Coke Pepsi test here, but how do you make sure you release these people? The mayor was saying up until we used this reason of the oncoming Hurricane Rita later this week, he was ready to unleash 180,000 people back into the city. I spent last week there. You're down there. There's a lot of crud down there. How do you keep people away from it?
Sir, I'm not there. I'm in my own parish, minding my own business. But let me tell you what I do, sir. I asked my water department, who's very, very competent. We had no boil order. We had no boil orders, and we had boil orders here. For the most part, my parish initially had boil water orders on the West Bank and the East Bank. And then gradually, as the water integrity got better, I lifted those boil orders. Now, I did that in phases because everything isn't ready at the same time. But if my water people tell me it's ready to drink, and they say lift the boil order, if FEMA stepped in and said, no, you're not ready to do it, well, I'm going to fight FEMA on that because I trust my people more than I trust FEMA.
You know, after the hurricane or the tropical storm Rita has passed by, we'll be back to this conundrum again, this sort of standoff between the White House and the FEMA and those people at the federal level and the mayor of New Orleans. So I want to ask you a question that only you know how to answer, and I can't answer it. When you have to rebuild a city that's been basically stopped, like the New Orleans and your parish has been stopped, what comes first? The workers coming back, the electricity coming back, the businesses coming back, or the consumer coming back? How does it work?
The workers come back. You have to get the workers back first that can operate the machinery. You have to call in the National Guard like I did, and you have to ask them to use that big equipment to snowplow your thoroughfares. That's what I did first.
Yeah.
You have to get your thoroughfares clear of debris. Otherwise, nothing can move. No resources, no rescue, no nothing. You have to clear your major thoroughfares first. Then you have to bring utility people in. Remember, I stopped my people from coming into the parish for about a week until I could at least get the thoroughfares cleared. Then I told them, I'm going to trust you to come in for a peek and turn. You can come in, look, document your damage, cry about it with your neighbors, then pack up your valuable things and get out.
Yeah.
They did it. Nobody believed that could be done, but it was done. And when they left, I told them, get out as quickly as you can. I have an army of utility trucks of all types, from electricity to gas to sewage to water. They're waiting to come in here, but I got to get you out first. You can't have Mr. and Mrs. Magoo riding around the parish gawking and sightseeing going, road hog, get that utility truck out the way. if you do that, then you back up your recovery period, by weeks, if not months. So I did that first. You bring back the workers, then you bring back the people to get a peak and turn, then you bring back the utility companies to restore electricity, water, and sewage. Then you bring the people back, sir. That's what I did. It worked for me. I don't know if it works for anybody else, but it's worked fine for me of a population of 500,000 people.
Aaron Broussard, you are a piece of work. I'm really impressed by you, sir. Thank you for coming on. You speak in a very clear way, very evocative. Thank you for coming on Hardball.
Listen,
Please
Chris,
come back.
This is hardball country down here right now, buddy.
I can see. Anyway, thank you.
I haven't got a softball yet.
Well, thank you, Mr. Broussard. Thank you for joining us tonight. Please come back again soon. Anyway, coming up, should New Orleans be reopened for business? We're arguing about it tonight. And is it safe for residents and tourists? Because once this Hurricane Rita goes by, we're going to be arguing this again. We'll be right back with the top FBI special agent in New Orleans. What about the crime down there? What about the gangs lurking? We're going to talk about that. You're watching Hardball only on MSNBC.
Pacific Life is proud to bring you Hardball with Chris Matthews. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed.
Attention, diabetic patients with Medicare.
I have diabetes, and testing my blood sugar on my fingers every day is so painful. I wish there were a better way.
Now, there is. With this meter, you can test on your arm with less pain. Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Minch, and I've been taking care of diabetic patients for over 30 years. With this new meter, you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. You can test on your arm. It hurts less. Some patients say it doesn't hurt at all. And I'll send you this meter for free when you call and join Diabetes Care Club.
I called and got my meter. Now my fingers don't hurt anymore.
The club will send your diabetes supplies right to your home, and we will bill Medicare. Membership is free, and so is shipping. So call us now.
Call now to get your free diabetes test meter. Call Diabetes Care Club at 1-800-570-2308.
Call now. I'm glad I did.
Coming up, is New Orleans ready for the return of residents and visitors? And is it safe? Hardball returns after this.
Whatever the season, when a storm gathers, so do we. The State Farm Catastrophe Team, a full-time force of 2,500 people whose only mission is to be there in times of crisis, working with local State Farm agents to bring help and hope to more people than any other company. And we'll be there for you, too.
Sprint Business is reinventing the yes man, turning the yes man into someone who can work from almost anywhere. And now that Sprint and Nextel have come together, you can work in and out of the office more efficiently, the way 96% of the Fortune 1000 already do. So saying yes from just about anywhere with speed and confidence makes me a yes man. I'm a yes man.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Yes, you can.
Comcast, focused on community.
At Beach's ultra-inclusive family resorts, everything you dream about magically comes true. Gliding and sliding and splashing with glee. Diving and dining, it's all included, you see. Even Elmo and friends from Sesame Street. Beaches makes every day in paradise perfect.
Now on sale up to 50% off. Call your travel agent or 1-800-BEACHES.
Jim Bernazzani is this FBI special agent in charge in Louisiana. He joins us now from Baton Rouge. Jim, I met you last week when I was down there. Let me ask you about this standoff between the mayor down there. It seems to have, we got a truce on it, a ceasefire on it late today, but a standoff as to whether it's right to go back to that city. Let's listen to the mayor right now, Jim.
We are suspending all reentry into the city of New Orleans as of this moment. I am also asking everyone in Algiers to prepare to evacuate as early as Wednesday. I am also asking anyone who's on the east bank of Orleans Parish to also start to prepare yourself to evacuate on Wednesday.
In a security situation, I should say, in terms of security, safety of the streets down there, who's right, the federal government or the mayor, in terms of this standoff?
Well, relative to the FBI mission, irrespective of who's coming in town or who's leaving, the mission does not change. The FBI here is to support DHS, the federal lead, the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, and making sure the community is secure. If we have movements of peoples, they just provide unique opportunities to execute operations. But the fact of the matter remains that the FBI mission hasn't changed. We will continue to track down violent criminals and remove them within the legal construct, while at the same time setting up task forces to sense anomalies relative to white-collar crime and fraud.
Let me ask you about the street situation. We've had the 82nd Airborne down there. I met with them down there. They're very impressive. More importantly, they're impressive to people who might think of criminal actions, because apparently, for whatever reason, these guys armed with camouflage and M16s intimidate criminal behavior. Once they're removed from the site, are we facing a more stressful situation for homeowners and property owners?
Well, I don't think so. I think our intelligence assessment is going to tell us who's in town and how much of a problem we have. Relative to violent criminals, one of four things happened. They either drowned, they're under arrest, they're holed up in areas where we can't get to them as quick as we could because of the water, or they're out of town. And the FBI, with our law enforcement partners, has put together an intelligence assessment designed to track these individuals, to give us a baseline of intelligence, of knowledge, to understand the threat picture and understand the environment. And right now, we have a window of opportunity to set this up, because most of the violent criminal activity, we believe, has either been neutralized or is out of town.
What about the elements, and I'm not saying how many there were, but there are criminals, armed criminals who were stalking the Superdome. Where'd they go?
Well, we're in the process right now, again, with an intelligence assessment designed to locate these individuals. We have information indicating certain individuals are in select cities, and we have notified those local police departments. You got to understand, Chris, prior to the storm, relatively speaking to per capita, New Orleans was the murder capital of the world. It was a very violent city. And with our law enforcement partners, we did an intelligence assessment that identified that about the top 100 most violent individuals in New Orleans.
Yeah.
That intelligence assessment has been pushed to all 56 field offices with instructions to get with state and local law enforcement to begin the process to assess the displaced community from New Orleans to determine if any of those individuals, amongst the large numbers of law-abiding citizens, represent a problem for them, and if so, take appropriate action with state statutes.
Okay. Let me ask you about, give me a design, if you can, of the kind of crime you've had in New Orleans all these years. Is it like we had here in D.C. for a number of years and still do, a crack business which is all based on violence and turf and people kill each other to keep their peace? Is it like that?
Yeah, it's like the Southeast back in the early 90s. What we have here is a large youth population with no opportunity. And when you introduce automatic weapons, which are relatively new, the AK-47s and the SKSs, as well as crack cocaine, it is the only opportunity for these individuals to improve what they perceive to be a lousy quality of life. Right. And there also is a perception in the community that the state judicial system has failed them. If you look at the state judicial system last year, relative to the incarceration rate of convictions, it stands credibly at 7%. And when the community feels that the state judicial system has failed them, a second judicial system kicks in, street justice.
Right.
And the killings beget the killings beget the killings. And that's what we have right here.
Yeah, I'm one of these people that compares the number of people killed in Washington with the number of convictions for murder, and I always find it frightening to realize that a huge percentage of the killers are walking past me every day. We'll be right back with Jim Bernazani of the FBI. Up next, when will New Orleans be ready for residents and tourists to return? That's still the hot question, still in dispute. That's next when Harbaugh returns.
Looking for a mortgage lender who can put you on the fast track? Check out Ditech.com's flat fee purchase home loan. The total lender fee is just $395. Log on to Ditech.com or call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Ditech.com. Speed guaranteed.
Introducing the 300 horsepower Acura RL. With voice-activated technology and super handling all-wheel drive. power can be shifted front to rear, side to side, and while cornering, the outside rear wheel is accelerated for dramatically improved handling in all weather conditions. The all-new Acura RL.
Summer of '65. That's Jenny Nielsen.
She's cute.
That was a fantastic summer. We were the only ones on the block who had a real pool, so everybody came. Spent all day on the water, the sun baking on my head.
You look like a lobster.
I lived in the sun.
Yeah.
Remember those carefree days in the burning sun? Your skin remembers. If you've seen a dermatologist about those rough, scaly spots on your head or face called actinic keratosis or AK, you know there are probably more still developing. Left untreated, AK could lead to serious skin problems. So why wait? Visit treatak.com or call 800-TREAT-AK for your free sun and skin information kit. You'll learn more about AK and a proven alternative to treat the AKs you see, as well as the ones nearby still developing underneath. Call 800-TREAT-AK or visit treatak.com today. Take care of the future now and help your happy memories stay happy memories.
Man, I loved that pool.
You're a homeowner and you need cash. Call or log on to ditech.com and take the Ditech Challenge. We'll guarantee you the lowest rate and fee and help you to consolidate debts and lower your payments, even if your credit is less than perfect. Call 1-800-80-DITECH.
If you missed Rita Cosby live and direct last week, you missed a lot. This week, John Walsh is in the Storm Zone, helping put families back together. Live and direct, MSNBC weeknights at 9.
We hope you can join us tonight for NBC Nightly News. That's on your local NBC station. We'll explain why the return to New Orleans by residents there is on hold for now. And is it true another storm could be threatening Louisiana? Those stories and more tonight on NBC Nightly News on your local NBC station. We'll look for you then.
Back to Hardball. We're back with Jim Bernasani, who's the FBI special agent in charge of the New Orleans division. Jim, it's great having you on this show. What do you think was about this fight between the president, the FEMA on one side, and the mayor of New Orleans about whether to let people back in? Where were you guys on? Where was the FBI on that issue?
The FBI was on the streets, working investigations. Irrespective of what the agreement between the mayor and FEMA, the FBI's mission will continue. And that is, it runs the gamut from countering the next terrorist attack to getting these violent criminals off the street, to ensuring that well-intended individuals who wish to donate are donating to real charities and not some individual who's setting up a false website.
The American Political Almanac, which we all use in politics, I'm holding a copy of it here. It's almost like our Bible. It reads, Louisiana often seems to be America's banana republic, its public sector sometimes laced with corruption. How would you rate the public sector down there in terms of cleanliness? I'm talking about the mayor's office, the parish presidencies, the governor's office, the rest of it.
Well, as far from the FBI optic, we have a tremendous working relationship with all government, whether it's state, federal, or local, whether it's law enforcement, or it's from the mayor's office or from the parish presidents. We have no problem with that. What we do have here, unfortunately, is a target-rich environment relative to select individuals who would abuse their office for personal profit. Within the FBI, New Orleans ranks 19th in size, but we're third in public corruption convictions. And the unintended consequence of public corruption is not only are they stealing from the people, but they are contributing to this violent crime landscape in that companies from out of state will not invest in New Orleans because they're sick and tired of the bribe and the kickback. Yeah. And the intended consequence of this is twofold. One, the city of New Orleans is denied tax windfalls that can provide programs for the youth to provide opportunity. And two, the youth have no jobs. And with this landscape, you get into this cycle. And when you have the relative collapse of the educational system and the problems with the perception of the state judicial system, we have the violent crime problem we have today.
Now, maybe someday those people will learn that graft isn't colorful. Anyway, thank you very much, Jim Bernasani. Up next, the latest on From the Ground in New Orleans. Plus, how soon can businesses in New Orleans get up and running? Watching Hardball on MSNBC.
Objective financial advice. It's right for any nest egg, regardless of size. A.G. Edwards. For 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
Ice cold Coca-Cola. The great refreshing taste you know and love. Now in Coca-Cola Zero. Everybody, chill.
With more and more ways to communicate, how do you make faster connections, stronger papers, brighter inks, and electronics that are smarter, smaller, more energy efficient, and easier to use? By using the right chemistry. Improving the things we all need is a goal worth talking about, and it's ours. Dow. Living. Improve daily.
I fight a war that never stops. I work in infectious diseases at GlaxoSmithKline. You know how hard it is to find a new drug? Think of it this way. One of these snowflakes will fight one kind of infection and be safe enough for people to take. A scientist here could work through 1 million compounds and find only one new drug. And then we start again, because bacteria develop resistance and new viruses appear. The war never stops.
GlaxoSmithKline. Today's medicines finance tomorrow's miracles.
Best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine. Wait till the warm-up's underway.
Wherever business takes you, Best Western is there. Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain.
Stay at Best Western this fall and earn double reward points or miles. AAA members can earn triple points.
I'm a nurse, and washing my hands all day makes my skin raw.
Gold Bond Ultimate Healing Lotion. 7 intensive moisturizers and 3 vitamins.
It works better than any lotion I've ever used.
Don't take our word for it. Take yours.
Gold Bond Ultimate. This stuff really works.
When I hit the ball, the pain hits me.
Capsaicin Cream. Stronger relief each time you use it. So strong, you've got to feel it for yourself.
I can't feel the pain. I'm stunned.
Capsaicin Cream. Relief beyond belief.
The conditions on the Gulf Coast continue to deteriorate in the wake of Hurricane Katrina.
No matter where you live, this kind of news affects us all.
The important thing to remember is that you can play a part to help those in need. Visit redcross.org or call 1-800-HELP-NOW.
Because you don't have to be a celebrity to play a part.
Make a difference. Play a part.
You'd be saving lives.
MSNBC citizen journalists have sent in amazing video, pictures, and reports. If you want to be a citizen journalist, log on to cj.msnbc.com.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Colette Cassidy. Here's what's happening. Tropical storm Rita is gathering strength in the Bahamas and heading for the Florida Keys. It is expected to grow into a hurricane before hitting the Keys tomorrow afternoon with a potential 8-foot storm surge. Residents of the Keys have been ordered to evacuate. After hitting there, Rita is expected to cut across the Gulf of Mexico and slam into Texas, somewhere near Houston, late this week. That threat sent oil prices up more than $4 a barrel today. Well, hours after 2 Britons were arrested in the Iraqi city of Basra, British soldiers used tanks to break down the wall of the central jail to free them. The 2 men are described as undercover commandos. And former Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski and former Chief Financial Officer Mike Schwartz were sentenced to up to 25 years in prison for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from the company. They were also ordered to pay $134 million in restitution. Those are your headlines. I'm Colette Cassidy. Now back to Hardball.
Welcome back to Hardball. New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin suspended plans today to allow residents to re-enter the city. It was late today he made the announcement. MSNBC's Michelle Hoffman joins us now with the latest. Michelle.
Good evening, Chris. That's right. He may have done that, but I'll tell you what, looking on the roads around here, the folks who are still heading into the city, heading in with trucks and tractors and flatbed trucks to get their things out of here, those people obviously don't know it. We saw some checkpoints, long lines of people trying to get into the city to get what they can out of their homes, their important documents and things like that. I just left a few minutes ago St. Bernard Parish, where the sheriff there is frankly beside himself. He has all sorts of people. He's at about 1,200 people inside his parish right now, including homeowners who are just beside themselves looking at what's left of their homes and very upset right now. And then also a number of contractors and all sorts of other people in there. And he says he is going to order them out of the county tomorrow because of the hurricane that's headed toward the Gulf. He fears for their safety. So he's going to order them out of the county tomorrow. He's very concerned about that, as well as a number of other people in this area. And frankly, rain is the last thing that the people down here need. There's so many roofs that are still not closed and all the mud and contamination. He is very concerned about this upcoming storm and all the people who have been allowed back into the county.
Well, clarify this for New Orleans. Are the New Orleans people going to be sent back packing because of the oncoming hurricane, or what? Are they going to stay there?
Well, there is what is it, the dusk to dawn curfew. So they had to get out of here by nighttime anyway. And you know, there's still no fresh water to drink here, no electricity or anything else in much of the area. So those people were supposed to leave anyway. In a lot of these areas, like St. Bernard Parish, there isn't any place for any of these people to stay. So they were supposed to leave at nighttime, and I guess they'll just not be allowed back in tomorrow. But the concern is for some people who are trying to find some place to stay down here, and they want to make sure they get those people out of here before this other storm arrives.
Do you understand the mayor's position now? Is it that because of the likelihood or possibility of being hit by another bad weather situation, in this case Tropical Storm Rita, that the people of New Orleans are not supposed to come back, and in fact are not allowed to come back in the city? Is that the position of the city now?
Well, that's what I understand. I actually didn't hear the press conference because I had to get a ride from somebody that was in St. Bernard's Parish, an environmental consultant, so I was racing back here to get onto your show, and we didn't have any
Okay, I think that is the situation right now, because we just watched the mayor's press conference. Hey, I'm one of your biggest fans, Michelle. You are one street reporter, and sometimes you have to swim. You are the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, NBC's Michelle Hoffman in New Orleans. Michael Olivier is the Secretary of Economic Development of Louisiana, and he's been working on helping New Orleans and other areas get back to business. And Doug Brinkley is a regular on this program. He's a presidential historian, a longtime resident of New Orleans. Let me go to Mr. Secretary. Mr. Olivier, what does it take if you had to do it in sequence? We did it with Broussard, Aaron Broussard, the president of the parish up there next door. What does it take to put a city back together? In what order do you need to put a city back together?
Well, the first thing we have to do, obviously, is secure the city and de-water the city, and that's the main thing. And I want to remind the viewers that we're not only talking about the city of New Orleans, we're talking about a 10-parish area. We're talking about 960,000 square miles of area that's been impacted, in addition to the Mississippi coast and the Alabama coast that's been impacted. We've got a lot to do in terms of getting ready, not only security, but getting all of our utilities back in play, and that's coming online pretty fast. Our port, our deepwater port, is back in action. We are making some great strides as we try to attempt to bring some normalcy back to that region.
Is the mayor striding too fast and pushing to get the city reopened?
Frankly, we were glad to see the mayor reopen the city because we had a number of businesses, and that was the first case, was letting the businesses, allowing businesses access so they could get their records, so they could make their SBA loans, so they could get to their insurance adjusters, because they've got to get back in business. If they are delayed any longer, they won't be back in business, and we'll have a lot of insolvent businesses from that region that we just can't stand. We can't take that as a negative economic impact.
Is there a fear on the part of the mayor and other people in local politics, Denner, and business that if you let the residents stay away too long, they'll never come back?
Now, the New Orleanians and the people in the river region are going to come back. We're convinced about that. We're going to have to certainly give them some incentives and some good reasons to come back, and we're doing that. Our Governor Blanco is really working with our congressional delegation. We're working with the congressional delegations and the mayors of the other two states. We feel very positive about being able to produce a package of incentives that's going to be good for the individuals and good for businesses, as well as attracting new capital investment to the river region.
Explain, if you can, Mr. Secretary, the sequence of the last day, the events. What, from your back in the room perspective, went on that got the president, the FEMA director, the Admiral Allen, who's acting on this scene as FEMA director, to agree that it was time not to let the people come back into town, even though the mayor was pushing for it. How did this work out behind the scene?
I don't know the detail about behind the scenes. I can tell you that today, the governor participated in a media event where the Procter & Gamble's operations, the Folgers plants, which are coffee plants, a couple of them were put back into operation today. They have 4 of them in the New Orleans River region. I think that's indicative of how we feel that we have to get back into a sense of business and bring people back to the city. I understand that, at first there was a concern for health issues. That concern has diminished. What we're hopeful of is that we're going to get back into operations soon. Save it for this storm that's coming, this new storm that's coming, Hurricane Rita.
Thank you. Hold on there. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Michael Olivier, who's Secretary of Economic Development for the state of Louisiana. Let me go to Doug Brinkley. Doug, you're a resident of New Orleans. What do you fear about going home, back to the city? What is it? Is it the levees? Is it the crime? Is it the water quality?
Chris, I was there all weekend, and let me make something very clear. Do not go back to New Orleans right now. If you're talking about economic reasons, yes, it might make sense. But when you're talking about people and lives, the answer is no. The sewage is everywhere on the streets. There's no electricity. There's no running water right now. You would be delinquent if you were a parent like I am with 2 kids to say, come on, let's go back to New Orleans right now. Mayor Nagin is dazed. He's confused. He's tired. He's making a lot of bad judgment calls right now, and I'm very glad to hear at the end of the day he had a conference and decided to tell people, stay out. We all want to get back home, but give it another week. It's not ready to be inhabited yet.
I always assume rationality on the part of politicians who manage to get elected. And Nagin, to me, I have a sharper image of him, perhaps, maybe a more romantic notion. I think he's better than you just suggested. But what is his political purpose in wanting the people to come back so fast?
Well, he obviously wants what he thinks is best for the city, and you just heard the economic scenario. It is true that some of the people that saved New Orleans are people that are there right now. There are incredible stories of the Royal Sonesta Hotel open and feeding people and trying to get the Slim Goody diner open to give food and get New Orleans going again. We all want that. But what we saw is that there's a lot of death and a lot of despair, and the public health concerns are real. My house, for example, isn't in too bad a shape, but when I went there, it's just electrical wires dangling all over the city like, spider legs. There's a smell of gas leaks everywhere, and these things just need to be checked out for a few more days. With the hurricane coming, let's give it a break and revisit it next week.
Thank you very much, Doug Brinkley. He's a professor at Tulane University. And thank you, Michael Olivier. Again, sir, Secretary of Economic Development for the state of Louisiana. Coming up, what will it take to get the New Orleans tourism industry back on its feet? This is Hardball on MSNBC.
All I want is a room somewhere, a business trip beyond compare. Hampton keeps me on my game. Folks who care and know my name. All I want is all the comforts that I need, helping me to succeed. Wouldn't it be lovely?
Electronic four-wheel drive. Vehicle stability assist with traction control. And an available navigation system with off-road tracking. The Acura MDX. Its heart's in the right place, even if you're not.
Looking for a simple dinner? Just follow the recipe on Campbell's Cream of Mushroom. There's 5 meal ideas on every label, like Campbell's two-step chicken bake. Add Campbell's Cream of Mushroom to chicken and bake for a delicious dinner in 30 minutes.
This is good, Mom.
This is good, Mom.
Just came to me. Come home to a home-cooked meal with Campbell's.
Still ahead, some residents of New Orleans are returning home, but is the levee system ready for another hit? Hardball returns after this.
These are my closest friends. We laugh together, cry together, play together. Even our kids play together. But when it comes to our nutritional needs, we couldn't be farther apart.
That's why we've made Centrum so complete. With such a full range of nutrients, each of their bodies can put Centrum to work in the way that's best to help them stay as healthy as the day they met.
We've always been there for each other, and we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way.
With Centrum, you're more complete from A to Zinc.
Sprint Business is reinventing the yes man, turning the yes man into someone who can work from almost anywhere. And now that Sprint and Nextel have come together, you can work in and out of the office more efficiently, the way 96% of the Fortune 1000 already do. So if saying yes from just about anywhere with speed and confidence makes me a yes man, I'm a yes man.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Yes, you can.
Welcome. The rules in Finlandistan, Albaniastan are quite unique. I hope you had a chance to review them.
It's tennis. How different can it be?
It's not easy being out of your element, especially when it comes to insurance and investing. Genworth Financial and your financial professional can help you understand your choices and then make the right ones, so you'll be ready for whatever the future throws your way.
Reason eDiets.com can work for everybody.
With eDiets.com, I weigh myself in the privacy of my own home. With another plan I tried, I had to weigh myself at a meeting in front of lots of other people. Then my friend suggested eDiets.com, and now I weigh myself when it fits my schedule, like after the kids go to bed. I enter my weight online, and based on my progress, I get an updated meal plan and shopping list for the next week, instantly. It works for me.
Put eDiets.com to work for you. Log on now or call 877-YOUR-DIET and lose 10 pounds in 5 weeks.
MSNBC Tonight. City officials prepare to reopen New Orleans, but Joe wants to know, is the Crescent City really ready, or are they putting people at risk? See why Joe is one of the most credible reporters and commentators on the failures of the response to Katrina on Scarborough Country. MSNBC Tonight at 10.
I understand the federal government was a little excited about the plan. They didn't feel as though conditions were quite right. But my thought has always been that if we have this many resources in the city working cooperatively, then we can correct just about any situation that was out there. The only thing that I really needed to know was what was the EPA's assessment of the health risk associated with the city of New Orleans.
Welcome back to Harville. That was New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin explaining his decision to suspend the reopening of the city. I'm joined now by Stephen Perry, the president and CEO of the New Orleans Convention and Visitors Bureau, and by David Cohen of WWL Radio in New Orleans. Let me go to David first. As you understand it, what are the marching orders for the people of New Orleans between now and Thursday when Rita is expected to arrive?
Don't come in. If you were headed back to New Orleans or the metropolitan area, do not come in. Turn around, go back where you were, and plan to stay there while we wait to see what Rita does. And for those people who are emergency workers, the state announced today they're putting together a plan right now how they'll get the National Guard out, the other military out, and all the emergency workers out, particularly of Orleans, Plaquemines, and St. Bernard parishes, because they're afraid if they're there when Rita comes ashore, they could end up being casualties.
Do you think there's a fear that the levees will break?
The Army Corps of Engineers has indicated that the levee system is not what it was before before Katrina, and we saw that it wasn't enough for Katrina. So that tells you that if it wasn't enough for Katrina and now it's in disrepair, they've made temporary fixes. They're working on it, but the levee system isn't what it was, and what it was wasn't enough. So I don't think the levee system can hold up if we get another monster hurricane, and if we end up with the same kind of storm surge, we're in real trouble.
Stephen and Perry, do you agree on behalf of business down there that the mayor was right or he was wrong in pushing to reopen the city so quickly?
Chris, I think the real answer lies somewhere in between. The critical factor right now is that business owners needed to get back into the city, as Secretary Olivier said. You had business owners that had to recapture their servers, their financial records, their databases with customers, and even some to get into the warehouses to recapture products. If we had blocked them out of the city, you would have made it, you would have decimated numbers of companies, and you would have harmed individuals. So I think the real hybrid answer to this is people don't need to be coming and staying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you've got to let residents get back to assess the condition of their homes, to take pictures for insurance, to understand for their own personal planning, Chris, whether they need to have their kids in school for the next 6 months in another district or whether it's going to be a longer period of time. So I think the truth lays somewhere in between. They were both a little bit right, but I think the dynamic has changed with the storm now, because with that, I think every prudent individual knows New Orleans is not the place to be.
Stephen Perry, do you trust the levees? We're looking at one right now being rebuilt. It has been rebuilt. Do you trust them in a Category 2 or a Category 1 even?
Chris, the levees are proven right now to have been temporarily repaired, and they are not ready to take higher level storm damage and wind pressure. So I think it is very important that we keep the city clear, but that immediately thereafter, not necessarily going back to live as if nothing is wrong and nothing has changed, but I think it's critical that business owners and the occupants of the areas of New Orleans that were the least damaged, the French Quarter, the Warehouse and Arts District, the Warehouse District, the Garden District, that they get back to assess their homes, because they're going to have to do some planning in their lives.
Great. I appreciate the distinction.
I think they're too prudent to stay all night.
I got you. Come back and visit, get your books, and head out. Thank you very much, Stephen Perry of the Hotel of the Industry of Tourism down there. And thank you very much, as always, WWL's David Cohen. And up next, how safe is New Orleans from more floodings? We're talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it with the commander of the Louisiana Army Corps of Engineers. You're watching Hardball on MSNBC.
Would you like to turn your equity into cash you can use for any purpose? Just log on to ditech.com for your free online e-appraisal. Right now we're offering a low fixed-rate home equity loan with a flat fee of just $49. Call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Promise Buttery Spread helps maintain a healthy heart when eaten instead of butter or margarine. And now it's rich with heart health essentials like omega-3 and vitamins B6 and 12. Plus, there's no trans fat and lots of creamy, buttery taste. In fact, it's our healthiest and tastiest buttery spread yet. No wonder hearts are beating louder. New Promise Buttery Spread, taking your health to heart.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, State Farm understands the devastating toll of this catastrophe, and we're here to help. If you're a State Farm customer who needs to file a claim but have been displaced and can't reach your State Farm agent, contact any State Farm agent near your current location or call 1-800-SF-CLAIM. That's 1-800-732-5246 or visit statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Have a good day. See you tonight.
Okay.
Introducing the all-new Suzuki Grand Vitara. You want more out of life? We're giving you the green light. Go!
Ever wish you had a business coach watching your back and cheering you on? In business, as in golf, being competitive requires trusted support. AdminiStaff is like a coach for small businesses. They reduce liabilities and offer a systematic way to improve productivity. They provide your team with big company benefits and handle the burdens of employer-related paperwork. Well, almost all the paperwork. Small business is good for America. AdminiStaff is good for small business.
Looking for a mortgage lender who can put you on the fast track? Check out ditech.com's flat fee purchase home loan. The total lender fee is just $395. Log on to ditech.com or call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Ditech.com. Speed guaranteed.
Is your child protected for the future? Gerber, the baby people you've known since you were a baby, offers you a way to help with that protection through their Grow Up Plan for Children. It's a $5,000 cash value insurance program that costs less than 11 cents a day. At age 21, that protection doubles to $10,000 with no increase in premiums. In addition to automatically doubling at age 21, the plan guarantees the right to $50,000 of insurance by age 28, regardless of health or occupation. So call now for your free information package. Any healthy child 12 and under is eligible. No medical exam necessary, simply answer a few questions. As a special feature, your first month's premium is $1. The Gerber Life Grow Up Plan. One quick call today can help protect your child for tomorrow.
Call 1-800-631-1414. The information package is free. There is no obligation. Call 1-800-631-1414.
Welcome back to Harbaugh. So where does the rebuilding of the levee system stand, and can it withstand Hurricane Rita? Colonel Richard Wagner is the commander of the New Orleans District Army Corps of Engineers. Colonel Wagner, thank you for joining us. A big question. If Katrina strikes again next week, the same type of hurricane, would it break through the levees?
Boy, right now we have minimal protection with the levee systems that are left after Katrina. So with Rita coming, we've got some intermediate actions we're going to take near term. Right now the protection levels are pretty low.
So if we got hit by a Category 3 or a 2 or a 1 even, we'd be in trouble.
I can't say for a 1, and it really depends on the dynamics of the storm, but most likely we would have problems with any hurricane that would come into the system, either through storm surge or from significant amounts of rainfall.
So we're less prepared now in terms of just dealing with the immediate challenge if it comes as bad as Katrina than we were before Katrina.
I would agree.
Okay, let me ask you about the long term and the short term. In the long term, do you think we might see a real state-of-the-art flood control system down there like they have in Holland and places like that, where it's really a work of human genius?
I believe we are. Some of the engineers and the teams right now that are looking at New Orleans' future, I think are looking at very long-term Category 5 protections, state-of-the-art type systems.
Is that a lot of money?
It will be a lot of money. Yes, it will.
$10 billion?
Hard to estimate. I think we'll just have to see where the estimates come out and let it go from there.
We're looking right now on this screen. It's a very appropriate screen. We're looking at piles of what look like cement bags. They were dumped to seal up one of the levees, the big breach in the levee. How sound are they?
Generally, they're sound for what they're doing now, and that's just passing water through the canal systems. Our plan right now is if Rita comes in and gives us problems, we will seal off the ends of the 2 canals we had problems with, and that will prevent any water from coming from the lake into those canals.
What's the most vulnerable, the levee system, which are giant mounds of dirt and gravel, or the flood walls themselves to protect the canals? What's more vulnerable right now?
Right now, I think the 1 London Avenue canal, we believe, is the most vulnerable from a structural integrity perspective.
That's the one that just blew open, right, because of the force of the water. One of them was almost like a broadside of pressure from the water, right?
Right, and it had 2 holes in it, one in each side, the east and the west sides.
Do you know what it would have cost, this is a speculative question, but would we have had the damage to New Orleans, what you see right now, which could be months and perhaps years long, if we had had a better system? And that maybe not be just a definitional question, but was it feasible to have a better system that would have worked?
Well, it's hard to say because this was a Category 3 system that we had built and put in place. And so all the funding, the hypotheticals are out there, but all the funding is balanced against everything else that's going on across the country. So. Sure. I mean, I guess it would have been feasible to build a Category 5 system, but at the end of the day, were the American people willing to truly pay for a Category 5 system prior to this storm? That's hard to say.
Were the locals pushing for a Category 5 protection?
Well, I think they were. I think everybody realized that the city needed better protection. But they were also balancing that against other priorities in the area to include coastal restoration.
Yeah. So let me ask you now, I know you're a military guy and not a political guy, but based upon what you've experienced, is it logical to project the fact that the new reality's here and that what was not a priority to building a Category 5 protection system, a levee system, and a flood wall system, that now there is that political will?
I think there is right now. I just hope, America forgets very quickly. I just hope that the political will stays with this and we can look at a valid system for this region.
Would you open that up if you were making the call, sir? Colonel, would you be opening up the bid like, we've watched the World Trade Center, the jockeying that's still going on there to pick a suitable structure and a suitable engineering firm to design it to replace the World Trade Center, which was lost on September 11th. Do you believe that there will be an international bidding to try to create the best state-of-the-art system, or will it be more of the old cronyism and maybe graft that we've seen in the past?
I think interim-wise, we're going to go with multiple contractors and work with the locals to make sure they get benefits from that. Long-term, we'll see what the acquisition strategy is, but I think, probably we will go with a global type contract and see who wins that. It could be a large U.S. contractor working with many local firms. It all depends.
Let me ask you a tough question. Did the flood walls break along the London Canal because of inferior materials that were below spec?
I don't know. We right now are trying to. We're going to start planning on pulling out the material, the flood walls themselves, to look at them for an investigation to determine what happened. We don't know what happened. My people want to know as bad as everyone else because they're locals. They designed and they were built here. And so they want to know what happened to these walls just as bad as everyone else.
What institution was responsible for verifying the specifications, verifying the quality of the work and the materials used in constructing those flood walls that gave way?
It depends on which flood walls.
London, the London Canal.
The Corps or an AE firm or the local levee district. It really depends on which specific one you're talking about.
Do you think someone will be held to account if there was foul play here or there was graft, inferior materials used?
That's hard to say, Chris. I really don't know.
Okay, well, I know it's a tough question, perhaps an unfair one, but I'm curious about it. Hey, sir, thank you very much. It's an honor to have you on. Thank you, Colonel Richard Wagner, Commander of the Army Corps of Engineers in New Orleans.
Thank you.
Join us again tomorrow night at 5 and 7 Eastern for more Hardball. Right now, it's time for the Abrams Report with Dan.
Coming up, what could be a major break in the search for a missing Florida college freshman. Police find Taylor Beal's car nearly 2 weeks after she disappeared. Now they suspect foul play could be involved. And a man who was sexually assaulted as a child admits to killing 2 sex offenders. He came clean, saying he wanted to be on the dark side when one notorious sex offender arrives. Plus, a 73-year-old grandma locked up in a state pen for allegedly looting sausages after Katrina. She's out and joins us live. The program about justice starts now. Hi, everyone. First up on the docket tonight, there is another tropical storm out there already having an impact on New Orleans. Rita expected to slam into the Florida Keys and then to move west, possibly towards the Gulf region. So just moments ago, New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin announced he has suspended the effort to have some residents return to the city.
Our levee systems are still in a very weak condition. Our pumping stations are not at full capacity. And any type of storm that heads this way and hits us will put the East Bank of Orleans Parish in very significant harm's way. So I'm encouraging everyone to leave.
It also may be the result of the fact that this weekend, FEMA publicly contradicted the mayor, advising residents not to return to their homes. NBC's Michelle Hochland joins us now from New Orleans. Michelle.
Good evening, Dan. Well, the mayor may have just suspended re-entry, but a short time ago we were driving around New Orleans and we saw long lines, miles of cars trying to get into the New Orleans area. Also, a number of them were still being allowed in the last time that we saw them. There were trucks and U-Hauls, people trying to get in. And I'll tell you what, they know that they just have a short time, an hour, because there is still a strict dusk to dawn curfew in this area. Also, I just spoke with the sheriff in St. Bernard County, and he says that he is frankly exhausted and terrified right now because of Hurricane Rita heading this way. He told me just a short time ago that he plans on having a forced evacuation of his parish or county starting tomorrow. And there are probably about 1,200 people in his parish right now. That's the one that was just about completely destroyed by the last hurricane. But there are contractors, there are some homeowners and some environmental consultants who are working in that area. they're being told they must leave tomorrow. What the mayor here in New Orleans has said is that the people who have moved back into their homes, into some areas around here that have electricity and some water, they're being warned, hey, by Wednesday, you are probably going to have to evacuate because of Hurricane Rita. You could evacuate Wednesday or possibly even earlier. But we really don't have an idea of exactly how many people remain in New Orleans or in the outlying area. But then also, Hurricane Rita, the National Hurricane Center now says that it will be a major hurricane with winds of up to 110 miles an hour. While the brunt is supposed to hit the Florida Keys, frankly, even just an inch of rain in this area could be devastating to people because, first of all, as we mentioned, the weak levee system around here because of the Hurricane Katrina. And then also, Dan, all of these buildings around here, so many of them have the roofs ripped off of them. And just a little bit of rain will come in and destroy everything inside of there. And also, remember, it's been 3 weeks. These volunteers, these homeowners, the firefighters, everyone is thoroughly exhausted. All they want to do is get some normalcy back into their life. And one more thing, just a few minutes ago, I flew in a Black Hawk helicopter in with a soldier who just returned from Iraq. He went to see his home that is in Jackson Barracks down in the St. Bernard Parish. It had 6 feet of water inside. He really wanted to get his wife's wedding ring out of there that she requested because she had left it behind accidentally. When he got in there, he pulled out some wedding certificates, some birth announcements and things like that, laid them out to dry. He was planning on coming back there tomorrow to get those. And Dan, he's not going to be back.
Yeah, no, that is something that is facing a lot of people as they return to their homes. Michelle Hoffland, thanks a lot. All right, let's just be clear about what we're talking about here with regard to Hurricane Rita. All right, we're talking about it hitting, it is expected to hit the Florida Keys and then head towards the west. Now you can see, if we can show the expected trajectory of the hurricane. The problem is, as our weather people tell us all the time here, these things are unpredictable. They have computer models. They try and figure out which way they're going to go. The models offer up a number of possibilities, and it is possible it will not just go to Texas, but that, as you can see there, that it will hit Louisiana. So it is impossible to know exactly where it's going to hit. That's the problem. All right, we will continue to follow that throughout the evening. Now to the developments in the case of missing the Florida college freshman Taylor Beal. This weekend, an off-duty police officer found Beal's car about 1.5 miles from the spot where she was last seen. The car's original Virginia license plates removed and replaced with Ohio plates, apparently stolen months ago from another car in Virginia, leading authorities to suggest that foul play could be involved in the 17-year-old's disappearance. Beal had just started her freshman year at Virginia Commonwealth when she vanished on September the 5th. Authorities didn't classify the case as a criminal investigation until about a week and a half later. Police also executing search warrants, interviewed a number of people, including an ex-boyfriend and a 38-year-old photographer who took pictures of Beal last year. Joining me now, Washington Post reporter Jamie Stockwell, who's been reporting on the story, and MSNBC analyst and former FBI profiler Clint Van Sant, and criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Feiger. All right, Jamie, let me start with you. Let's lay out the facts as we know them now. So they find this car. This is definitely her car, and it had someone else's license plates on them that had been stolen?
Yes, that's correct. It was found Saturday morning by an off-duty police officer who was walking his dog, and even though it didn't have the Virginia license plates that have been posted throughout the last couple of weeks on every media outlet and all over campus, it did look similar enough to the Lookout vehicle. So he checked the VIN, and sure enough, it was the same one. The tags had been stolen from Richmond about 2 months prior to her disappearance.
So what about these search warrants that have been executed? What do we know about them, and can we make anything of the fact that search warrants have been executed?
Well, it's one more tool that they can use since it was upgraded to a criminal investigation last Thursday. The police have said since then that they were going to do everything that they could, including executing search warrants. One was done Friday at Taylor Beal's Vienna home here in Northern Virginia. From that house, a computer was taken. There was also a search warrant executed in her dorm room. Her computer was also taken from there. and the search warrant was executed Friday at the home of a 38-year-old photographer who had taken photographs of her.
Do we know anything more about that? About the photographs and who this guy is, etc.?
Well, it was apparently a friend of hers, and her family has said that they had a relationship of sorts. It's unclear where they met or how they met, but they both have profiles online at MySpace.com, a popular social networking internet site, and they're friends of each other, at least on that site.
All right, I mean, we're talking about 38-year-old and 17-year-old, but they may have just been friends online, though, as far as we know, right? We don't know the extent of the friendship, etc.
Well, and he's also one of the last persons who's believed to have seen her before her disappearance.
Okay.
So they had met, in person, and he did take photographs of her.
Right.
At some point.
All right, Jamie, if you could stick around for a moment.
Sure.
Clint, the fact that they found the car with stolen plates from someone else's car, and this is her car. I mean, I heard her mother say at one point that she actually viewed this as possible good news. Any way to see this as, possibly news that she's alive and okay in some way?
Now, that's to say she's alive is a stretch, Dan. The good news from the investigative standpoint is, number one, we know these Ohio tags were stolen 2 months ago. So somebody, more than likely, in the Richmond, Virginia area had stolen the tags and held on to them. For what purpose, we don't know. Now we have 2 weeks ago, Taylor goes missing, her car goes missing, but the car is found 1.5 miles from her college campus. So that says probably, from an investigative standpoint, whoever moved the car, perhaps whoever had something to do with her disappearance, was from that local area. So that keeps everything centered right in Richmond.
Why does that person, Clint, want to change the license plate? I mean, if someone's going to abduct her, right, and take her car, why go? I mean, what, that means that they were driving around with her possibly in the car?
No, for me, Dan, it means somebody wants to dump the car. And
why do you dump the car 1.5 miles from where she was last seen?
Well, because if you dump the car 1.5 miles away, that could mean you switched her to another vehicle or did something with her in that distance. But you don't want the car to be found because perhaps it had something that might incriminate you to that car.
But if you don't want it to be found, why don't you dump it 50 miles away? Why do you dump it 1.5 miles where everyone in the community knows that she's missing?
Because I don't want to be in that car too long if it's been reported as missing, Dan. I want to get myself out of that car and any connection with her as quick as I could. So I dumped the car as soon as I can. I switched the plates. Now, the key in this, though, when she went missing, as you know, she went to her dorm at 10 o'clock at night. Her roommate had a guy there. So Taylor turned around, took her cell phone, some cash, car keys, and left. She hasn't been seen since. If she had that cell phone, Dan, did she call somebody and say, hey, I can't go to my room tonight, can I stop by your house, your dorm?
Well, I would assume they have the cell phone records at this point.
They would have the cell phone records and the email records, so, hopefully that's going to lead them somewhere.
Jeffrey, search warrants, all right? We know that these search warrants have been executed. What does that tell you as a legal matter? I mean, what standard did they have to survive to be able to get a search warrant?
Basically just probable cause. If they can find a judge, usually a friendly judge, Dan, based on any suspicion literally that an officer can enunciate in an affidavit, they'll get a search warrant. They really don't have to meet a very high standard in this day and age. But the probability is, as I agree, this is something, all the hallmarks of something untoward having happened to her. She didn't change her own license plates. I would suggest to you also that the perpetrator is in the community and is a member of that community, or else he would have absconded with the car and gone much further away.
Here's her mother, Janet Pellisala, talking.
I can't imagine that she would meet someone at that time of night and just go off with them without her purse, without clothes. I mean, she's not the type to just run off. I mean, she told her roommate she was coming back. She didn't have her purse. It's just, none of it makes sense. None of it.
Jamie, are the authorities holding out hope, or was this a very discouraging discovery?
Well, they haven't used the term discouraging, but what Police Chief Rodney Monroe from Richmond did say yesterday was that the finding of the vehicle has led them now to suspect that perhaps Taylor Beal did meet with foul play. or was abducted, when before they had been repeatedly saying that they didn't think that was the case at all.
And Clint, she had only been at this college for less than a week, so it's not as if she knew an enormous number of people at the college either.
Well, it's interesting, though, that she had, like many young people her age, Dan, she had this very large circle of friends on the internet. Remember, she's known this photographer in the Richmond area for at least a year, so one might suggest she had some type of connections down there. That's the challenge, is running everybody down all the way from Vienna in Northern Virginia down to VCU, where she went to school in Richmond, trying to tie all these together and see who might have some knowledge of her. But again, whoever had something to do with her disappearance comes from that local community. That's where they have to keep the investigation.
All right. We'll continue to follow it. I was just down in Richmond, and I can tell you that everyone there is certainly puzzled by this case. Jamie Stockwell, thanks a lot. Clint and Jeffrey are going to stick around. If you've got any information about Taylor Beal, please contact the Richmond Police Department, 1-877-244-HELP, or the Virginia State Police at 1-800-822-4453. Coming up, he was sexually assaulted as a child. Now he apparently admits killing 2 sex offenders, hoping to get on the dark side so when one notorious sex offender arrives, he's there to welcome him. And she was arrested in the days after Katrina hit for allegedly looting sausages, then thrown into a state pen for over 2 weeks. Now the 73-year-old grandma's out. She's still facing charges. She's joining us live. Plus, the CEO who brought the world the $2 million toga party was convicted of stealing $150 million from his company, is sentenced today to some serious time. Your emails, abramsreport at MSNBC.com. Please include your name, where you're writing from. I respond at the end of the show.
If you missed Rita Cosby live and direct last week, you missed a lot. This week, John Walsh is in the storm zone, helping put families back together. Live and direct, MSNBC weeknights at 9.
Tony, most people want to get in better shape, but they just don't have the time.
Well, Stacey, what if I told you in just 3 20-minute workouts, only 1 hour a week, you can increase your energy levels, strengthen your heart, reduce your stress, and shape all the muscles of your body, all with one quality machine? Would you be interested?
Yes, I would.
Well, Stacey, I have good news.
Tell me more.
I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. Yeah, baby, you can do it.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
In working with the right financial advisor, answer the question,
do I have enough?
I'm 5 years into retirement. Do I have enough?
Say I live another 25 years. Do I have enough to live without sacrificing later on?
To leave something for our children.
Our grandchildren. To live independently.
Travel to New Zealand.
Do I have enough to have the retirement we dreamed of?
Introducing Envision from Wachovia Securities. A new way of working with our financial advisors that starts with your life and plans your money around it. Talk to us.
I'd like to redeem my credit card miles. No.
Okay. Oh, Chubsy, come on. The answer's always...
No!
That's right.
Ow.
I'm not hearing it.
No! No!
Go from no to no hassle with Capital One No Hassle Rewards. There are no blackout dates on any airline, anytime.
I should have worked at Capital One!
What's in your wallet?
No!
All I want is a room somewhere, a business trip beyond compare. Hampton keeps me on my game, folks who care and know my name. All I want is all the comforts that I need, helping me to succeed. Wouldn't it be lovely?
We have loads of puppies just looking for a home.
We've got a steak with your name on it.
Come on down to Bill's Kayak Shop for the adventure.
If you can afford radio advertising, you can afford cable TV. Comcast Spotlight can make it happen. And with Comcast Spotlight, you can target the customers you want to reach. So why settle for
Manja
when you can have?
Put your business on the fast track. Call Comcast Spotlight to find out more about advertising on cable.
Comcast. Pay-per-view.
You want game?
This fall, ESPN Game Plan has more than 150 extra college football games. Team matchups and rivalries from major conferences. All available when you order your exclusive ESPN Game Plan pay-per-view package.
Don't wait. Bring your team home now and order all the action with ESPN pay-per-view. Call today.
Pedophilia victim Michael Mullen admits to killing 2 released Washington state sex offenders and asks for the death penalty. So he can wait in the afterlife and seek revenge on the man whose crimes he says drove him to kill, Joseph Duncan. Mullen used a sex offender notification website to identify his hit list of offenders. He interviewed 3 men, hoping to learn why they committed their crimes. And according to a letter Mullen wrote to the Seattle Times, one of them showed remorse, so Mullen says he spared him his life. The other 2 he said he killed execution style. Joining me now, Seattle Times reporter Mike Carter, who received the letters from Mike Mullen, the paper did. University of Washington law professor and former King County prosecutor Maureen Howard. And back with us, MSNBC analyst, former FBI investigator Clint Van Sant, and the Jeffrey Feiger. All right, let me start by reading one of these letters, Michael, that the paper received. Basically saying, I myself have a boy and girl, Dylan and Shasta's age. Of course, Dylan was killed and Shasta survived. And God help the man who even hurts them. My goal is to beat Duncan to death so I can be there when he arrives. It was clear from these letters, was it not, Michael, that he is both confessing to the murders and providing a motive?
Well, he had confessed previously. He had made no secret about his desire to seek the death penalty as well. He had, after Hank Isis and Victor Vasquez, the 2 sex offenders, were found dead, there were letters sent to other media as well as the police department by a man calling himself Agent Life, confessing to the crimes and saying that there were others on the hit list. Mike Mullen has clearly confessed in this letter and confessed in internet postings and confessed in open court.
And yet now he's pleading not guilty, right?
Well, that's true. He pled not guilty last week in a hearing, but you also have to remember that in Washington, under state law, the prosecutor had in an aggravated murder case like this one, the prosecutor has 30 days to determine whether or not he will seek the death penalty.
Right.
During that time frame, you can't plead guilty to the crime until a prosecutor has expressed whether or not they plan to seek the death penalty. So to some degree, that plea may have been pro forma. I don't think we really know what's in Mike Mullen's head right now. We know it was in his head on September 11th when he wrote us.
All right, one more part of the letter. I interviewed all 3 occupants, and out of the 3, only 1 showed remorse or guilt. He's the one I let go. Also, I wanted one alive to spread the message that we will not tolerate our children being used and abused. Professor Howard, is this a possible defense?
Well, I don't think that what we've heard yet would rise to a level of a mental defect for that sort of a defense. In other words, not guilty by reason of insanity. There's nothing I've read that shows any sort of a psychiatric history, any sort of a personality disorder, any sort of fantastical ideation. It sounds more like a cut and dried revenge killing, an execution style, cold-blooded, premeditated killing.
But Jeffrey, there might be some level of sympathy from jurors. And again, when I say some level of sympathy, I don't mean that jurors are going to say it's okay. But for example,
yes, they will.
Well, a lesser conviction, for example, they might say, oh, you know, this spurred this memory in him, and he decided he needed to go get these guys. You think it's a defense that might work?
Yeah, because he did exactly what this society is encouraging people to do. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. What do you think these sex lists, these open lists that are available to everybody on the computer are for? They're for vigilantism. Well, in one form and another, if they're for the community to identify these people. Now, of course, our society would say, of course, we just want to shun them. But the potential for violence against people who have been convicted of crimes?
But that's a political statement
no,
about it. Yes, it is. Sure,
it's not simply political, it's factual.
But let's do it, and now as a legal matter, all right?
I'm telling you.
Bring me into the courtroom. You're his lawyer. What are you going to say?
That there's going to be sympathy for this guy because he killed 2 people that people wouldn't mind having killed themselves if they could do it. And I'm aware of that. And so that's not a legal defense, but I'm aware the jury would be inclined. I'll find people who will sit on a jury who would be inclined to look the other way. And therefore, because they're inclined to do that, they're inclined to find lesser offenses and to do things that they might not otherwise do because of the identity of the victim.
Professor Howard, does it matter, again, as a legal matter, what happened to him as a child? Can he say this stirred up memories and therefore possibly get, manslaughter maybe instead of murder?
I don't think it does in the sense of rising to a level of mental defect, although I agree with my esteemed colleague that with jury nullification, in other words, if you can raise the passions of the jury, that they can disregard the law and say, I'm sympathetic to the defendant. I disagree that these facts are going to compel any jury to have that kind of a sympathy. It's not the same as an aggrieved parent in the courtroom with the offender who's tortured and killed their child, who pulls out the gun and shoots him. Yeah. It's not the same kind of sympathy-evoking situation. I don't think so at all.
All right, let me ask Michael Carter, how exactly did he get into these men's homes? How did he do these interviews with them? Did he sit there and talk to them? Did he do it via the internet?
He posed as a what he called an off-duty FBI agent. He went to their front door and he was wearing a cap with the FBI initials on it. He said he was an FBI agent, that he was checking on registered sex offenders in the area because the FBI had received some information that there may be a hit list or they may be in some sort of trouble, and he needed to talk to them about it. He then essentially invited himself into their home, sat down with them, drank a few beers, had a conversation. One of the 3 went off to work, came home later in the evening, actually ran into Mr. Mullen leaving the home and left again, came back at 3 in the morning and found his 2 roommates shot to death in a bedroom. One other thing that you mentioned, Victor Vasquez, one of the victims in this crime, was accused of raping his daughter repeatedly back many years ago. We've received and we've written about Eva Vasquez having forgiven her father. She's frankly devastated by this crime, that her father's now been taken away from her for a crime that she had forgiven him and they had reconciled over.
Yeah, that may. I'm not suggesting that therefore he deserves to die, but the fact that his daughter, who was repeatedly raped, has come to sort of accept it, to me doesn't make him any better. But that's not what you're saying, I know. But
no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
I know.
We've also received a fair amount, and we wrote about it this weekend, a fair amount of input from the public. And again, I think that what we're hearing is certain sympathy for Michael Mullen's motives, if not his methods.
Professor, if he wants to be executed, his position is, I want to be dead when Joseph Duncan gets executed. So in the afterlife, I'm there to arrive to effectively beat him up in the afterlife. All right, putting that aside for a moment, as a legal matter, if he wants to be executed, how hard is it to get executed?
Well, as a legal matter, there has to be a confirmation that he's mentally competent to make that decision, to waive his right to exhaust all of his appeals. But he can do it, and there have been other people that have done it, Wesley Allen Dodd, for example. But I think you're noting his motive to be executed cuts against the sympathy factor in this case.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, these men that were executed, we might all agree, they're bad guys in the sense that they were convicted for doing terrible, terrible crimes. However, whether real or perceived, the reason he killed them was because he was angry about it. Yeah. And how different is it? What I'd argue as the prosecutor, that the jury is, how different is that than the husband who kills his wife who leaves him and says she was whoring around on me. She's a bad woman. The Bible says so. I'm going to kill her. Or the postal employee who goes in and shoots everyone at the office. The revenge killings because of the perception the victim is bad. And whether real or imagined, it can't be tolerated. It's an execution-style killing.
Yeah, I don't know that I think that argument could be a little controversial, only because I think that these guys are much less likable and have even more to dislike about them than a woman who's sleeping around. I don't think a jury's going to have particular. They're going to say, "What? Are you kidding me?"
No, absolutely, Dan. But the problem is, do we want our citizens walking around the country?
No,
making
of course. Look, I'm not. Look, this guy's going to go away. He's going to get executed just as he wants. Clint, the investigation's over, right?
Well, the investigation's over, but wait a minute. You know, I don't want to give Jeffrey a complete pass right now. You know, there's a good purpose for the National Sexual Predator List. I talked to a woman yesterday, Dan, who told me she used that list to help identify a guy across the street. She's just going to watch her kids. She's not going out looking to kill him.
But we're not having a debate about the Predator list. The bottom line is, you know, look, I'm not going to blame the Predator list. Jeffrey may blame the Predator list for this, but it's not like this is happening everywhere where people are going and shooting sex offenders because they're on a Predator list. So
no, it's a good thing to have, and you know the case is closed, but we still got to prove the case. And you know, if he happens to beat this guy to hell, so be it.
I've got to wrap it up. Mike Carter, Clint Van Sant, Jeffrey Feiger, and Professor Howard. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks. Coming up, 73-year-old grandma locked up in a state pen for allegedly looting sausages after Hurricane Katrina. She's out. There she is. She joins us live up next. Former Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski sentenced to serious time today. In the end, it wasn't the $6,000 shower curtain or the $2 million toga party that did him in.
There's an even better way to care for your nest egg. Objective financial advice. A.G. Edwards. For 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
There's a new piece of standard equipment on all our trucks. A special alert system called RoadWatch. Developed by Walmart, Qualcomm, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and soon to be shared with the world. RoadWatch gets vital information to our drivers within seconds, so they can keep their eyes on the road. Yet this time, with a greater purpose, to help locate a missing child.
He's so excited. The oats were larger. Those apples you can really taste them. The raisins are chewy.
It's got body to it.
It has body to it, that's right.
It's Quaker Oatmeal Supreme.
Oh, I thought they were just great. It's something to smile about.
He teaches high school geography in Tucson. She's a mom, balancing work and what's for dinner. And this is Take On Orbitz, the game that pits other travel services against Orbitz.com.
Today's contestants need a 4-star hotel in Manhattan near Central Park. Ready? Go. Done. That new Orbitz neighborhood matrix makes it easy to find the right hotel.
Next time, Orbitz.
Oh, my darling, your last blossom beckons. I am so congested. If only my medicine could treat and help prevent these seasonal nasal allergy symptoms.
Only Nasonex is clinically proven to both treat and help prevent most seasonal nasal allergy symptoms, including congestion. Only Nasonex. Side effects were generally mild and included headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
I have returned my flower, a changed bee.
For seasonal nasal allergy symptoms, Nasonex is the one to treat and help prevent congestion. Talk to your doctor.
Come on, buddy. Let's go.
Dad, did you ever do drugs?
Yeah, I did, and it was a dumb thing to do. But no one ever talked to me about it. My dad never talked to me about it.
Talking to your kids about drugs can be tough. Need help? Get help. Visit our website at drugfree.org.
Right now, Oregon kids are becoming better readers thanks to the efforts of the Portland New Car Dealers Association. Through their partnership with Operation Outreach, your local new car dealers help get books to kids who don't have books at home. Teachers are getting supplemental training materials, and Oregon kids are getting a chance to succeed and excel. Feels good to know our kids benefit from the generous support of the Metro Portland New Car Dealers, Operation Outreach, and Comcast Cable. Making a difference for Oregon's kids.
Prepare to reopen New Orleans. What Joe wants to know, is the city really ready, or are they putting people at risk? Scarborough Country, MSNBC tonight at 10.
When news breaks, America watches today first.
Help me, police, kid. Please.
This is Today on NBC.
The 73-year-old grandma arrested in New Orleans for allegedly looting sausages. She was released soon after our show on Friday night. She joins us live after the headlines.
evening, everyone. I'm Colette Cassidy. Here's what's happening. The Florida Keys are bracing for Tropical Storm Rita, which is expected to grow into a hurricane before it hits there tomorrow afternoon. Right now, Rita is gaining strength in the Bahamas, and hurricane warnings are posted for the Keys and Miami-Dade County. Keys residents are under mandatory evacuation orders right now, while there are voluntary evacuations for coastal areas of Miami-Dade, including Miami Beach and Key Biscayne. After hitting Florida, Rita is expected to cut across the Gulf of Mexico and slam into Texas late this week. NASA has announced plans to return to the moon in 2018 in a capsule-like vehicle described as, quote, Apollo on steroids, referring to the original lunar landing program. The price tag, about $104 billion. And John Hinckley, who tried to kill President Reagan in 1981, has renewed his attempt to make overnight visits from the mental hospital in Washington, where he's been confined, to his parents' home in Virginia. A federal judge denied that request last fall. There's your headlines. I'm Colette Cassidy. Now back to the Abrams Report.
We're back. On Friday, we brought you the story of Merlene Mayton, 73-year-old grandma, church elder, who spent 16 days in prison, held on a $50,000 bond for allegedly looting $63 worth of goods from a deli near New Orleans the day after Hurricane Katrina hit. Mayton's attorney told us she didn't steal anything. The food that she was caught with was just part of the supplies that she took when she evacuated her home. Still, she's going to have to appear in court in October to fight the looting charge. Merlene Mayton was released from prison late Friday. Too late to join us, but she is with us now, along with her attorney, Daniel Beckett Becknell III. Thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it. All right, we heard, Daniel, you laid out the case for Merlene on Friday. Merlene, let me just hear it from you. Tell me what happened when they arrested you.
On Tuesday, after the hurricane, they had a lot of water. We was lounging at Motel 6, and they had a lot of water out there. And I first went down to get some water to flush the toilet. I went back down again, and there were a lot of people out there. So I went to my car to charge my phone and to get some sausage out of my car, the trunk of my car. Well, I saw people scattered around, but I didn't know what was going on. So as I got my sausage and I looked down, and there was the policeman there, and he called me, come here. And I went over to him. I looked up first, and I went over to him, and he said that that was out of some store, and I was looting. First of all, I didn't know what looting meant, you know, so I said, I didn't go to any store. I didn't break into any store. And so God is my witness. I did not go to any store. I didn't break in any store. You know, I'm a diabetic, and why would I go kick in the store, go take something out of a store?
Merlene, let me let you hear what the police chief had to say, and I want you to respond to what he said about the incident.
The only thing that we know is the police officers were dispatched to that particular location in response to a looting call, and when they arrived, they caught Mrs. Madeline and a 16-year-old juvenile exiting the building with sausage and beer. If she had taken a sausage and beer from her house, I have no idea why she brought it into the check-in, check-out to bring it out again. You know, it's very confusing what her explanation would be.
So what is your explanation, Merlene?
I don't drink, for number one. I had no beer. I always have, I have an ice chest in my trunk. I always bring food in my trunk. Everyone that knows me know I keep food in my trunk when I'm going somewhere. I went to get the rest of the food so that I could feed my husband. I have an 80-year-old husband that I left upstairs, and when they arrested me, I didn't see him anymore until Friday.
Now, tell me, you spent 16 days in a state pen? Tell me about that.
No, they brought me to Gretna, where I stayed, I think about a week, from Tuesday to Tuesday, to Gretna. From there, they brought me to the Greyhound bus station, or the the train station, and I slept on the ground that night. From there, they just wouldn't tell us didn't tell me where I was going. They just kept transporting me. The next morning, they put me in a bus, and that's where they brought me to St. Gabriel. And I stayed there until Friday.
What was the experience like there?
It could have been better. It was devastating, but it could have been better.
All right, Mr. Becknell, $50,000 bond. What was the explanation for that?
Well, I've talked to the duty judge, and the duty judge said that there were over 30 to 40 people arrested for looting that day, and they were all given the same $50,000 bond.
Wait. No matter if they were accused of stealing jewelry or if they were accused of stealing food, same amount of bond?
That's correct.
All right, go ahead.
As you know, the courthouse was closed. The bail bondsmen were closed. The judges were evacuated. So that's what made this such a difficult case, is we couldn't get in touch with anybody to reason with them and tell them the facts and circumstances. And luckily, once I was able to get in touch with Judge Wicker and she heard the circumstances and the facts, she found it compassionate and was reasonable in allowing her on a recognizance to be released. And that took another 20.
And your position is that the sausage. Your position is that the sausage that she had isn't even sold at the deli that was looted, correct?
That's correct, and also that they piled up other items, the police did, and if you had seen the items, there's no way Mrs. Mayton could have handled all of those items.
My guess is
my
guess is that these charges are going to be dismissed, but we will follow this case. Merlene Mayton, thank you for taking the time. It's look, this sure sounds like a case where they were just like there was a lot of mass confusion there at the time, and my guess is, and we'll see as this case moves forward, my guess is that they're going to dismiss the charges and that Merlene Mayton may be cleared of all of this and maybe even gets an apology. But we'll see. Look, we've got to keep following this. Thank you both very much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just a note, we did put in a call to the Jefferson County DA's office, and they did not return our call. All right, coming up now, the man behind this lavish toga party for his wife, now behind bars at Rikers, former CEO of Tyco, was sentenced today. And it's been 3 weeks since Hurricane Katrina struck New Orleans. I say it is now time to start the, quote, blame game. It's my closing argument. And in our effort to reunite families split up in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, we are highlighting missing children posted on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children website in the hopes of getting them back with their loved ones. Ashley Brown, age 12, from Harvey, Louisiana, missing since August the 27th. Hannah Ellis, age 5, from Kiln, Mississippi, missing since August 29th. If you know where either of them is, please call the Katrina Missing Kids hotline at 1-888-544-5475.
It's time lenders treated people with respect. That's why eLoan offers home equity loans with faster responses and rates as low as 5.49%. Those are some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
We're investing over $1 billion in North America. It began with a new design and research center and test track in California, a new engineering facility in Michigan, and now a state-of-the-art assembly plant in Alabama, creating thousands of new jobs across the country. The result will be a Hyundai like you've never seen before.
Whatever the season, when a storm gathers, so do we. The State Farm Catastrophe Team. A full-time force of 2,500 people whose only mission is to be there in times of crisis, working with local State Farm agents to bring help and hope to more people than any other company. And we'll be there for you, too.
Coming up, some hard time handed down as two high-flying executives from the 90s sentenced today in New York They're facing a lot of years in tough state prisons. Coming up.
New Promise Buttery Spread helps maintain a healthy heart when eaten instead of butter or margarine. And now it's rich with heart health essentials like omega-3 and vitamins B6 and 12. Plus, there's no trans fat and lots of creamy, buttery taste. In fact, it's our healthiest and tastiest buttery spread yet. No wonder hearts are beating louder. New Promise Buttery Spread, taking your health to heart.
These are my closest friends. We laugh together, cry together, play together. Even our kids play together. But when it comes to our nutritional needs, we couldn't be farther apart.
That's why we've made Centrum so complete. With such a full range of nutrients, each of their bodies can put Centrum to work in the way that's best to help them stay as healthy as the day they met.
We've always been there for each other, and we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way.
With Centrum, you're more complete from A to Zinc.
Oh, my darling, your last blossom beckons. I am so congested. If only my medicine could treat and help prevent these seasonal nasal allergy symptoms.
Only Nasonex is clinically proven to both treat and help prevent most seasonal nasal allergy symptoms, including congestion. Only Nasonex. Side effects were generally mild and included headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
I have returned my flower, a changed bee.
For seasonal nasal allergy symptoms, Nasonex is the one to treat and help prevent congestion. Talk to your doctor.
Tonight, Mayor Ray Negan announces plans to reopen New Orleans, but with evacuees making themselves at home elsewhere, who'll return on Hardball at 7. Then, the New Orleans Saints host a home game on the road. A special story about the football team that's become a symbol of hope for Katrina survivors on Countdown at 8. MSNBC Primetime tonight.
From the Big Bash to the Big House, the $2 million birthday party Tyco chief Dennis Kozlowski threw for his wife has become a symbol of excess corporate greed. Now, after being convicted of stealing $150 million from Tyco, Kozlowski and Chief Financial Officer Michael Schwartz facing some hard time. They won't be spending it in Kozlowski's New York apartment with a $6,000 shower curtain Tyco paid for either. Today, New York State Supreme Court Justice Michael Obas sentenced both men to serve 8 1/3 to 25 years, along with fines and restitution of $240 million. Even with time off for good behavior, Kozlowski and Schwartz will each spend almost 7 years behind bars, time they could wind up serving in Attica or one of New York's other tough state prisons. Andrew Ross Sorkin is a New York Times reporter who covered the case. He joins us now. All right, Andrew, good to see you. So why the tough prisons? We always hear in these generally federal cases, that white-collar criminals go to these club feds.
Right, no club fed here, right? The situation is this. This was not a federal case. It was actually brought by Robert Morgenthau in New York State, and as a result, you go to the state system, and the state system happens to be a pretty difficult one. Attica is one of the maximum security facilities. If you get sentenced, usually for more than 5 years, you go to a maximum security facility because they don't have places for non-violent offenders for less than that, because typically those type of sentences don't exist.
So it's not the crime, it's the time that determines which sentence, which prison you're going to.
Exactly. He's off both Mr. Kozlowski and Mr. Schwartz are off to not to Attica rather, but to Rikers Island probably by the end of this week to be processed for the first month, and then they will find out where they will be placed.
Wow. Do you think they were surprised?
You know, I can't say that their lawyers were surprised, but I think for them, just watching their expressions, their faces, having talked to them prior to the sentencing, I do think they were surprised. There was a kind of dumbfounded look on both of their faces, almost expressionless, as in, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened to me. And I think their family also. It can be that they're just trying to disbelieve what was coming, but I do think this was an unbelievable experience for them.
Very quickly, 8 1/3 to 25, what does it really mean?
It really means pretty much 8 1/3 at minimum. There's no chance they really get 25, but as long as they're good behaviors, they should be out in about 8 1/3 years, which is less than people like Bernie Ebbers of WorldCom, who's going for a full 25 years, but a lot more than people like Michael Milken from the 1980s, who was only in for about 2 years.
Andrew Ross Sorkin, as always, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dan.
Coming up, why I say it is time to start playing the so-called blame game as a result of the mess in New Orleans. And many of you writing in furious that federal money and your donations to hurricane victims ended up in strip clubs. More now on our effort to reunite families split up in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. Cody Lurd, age 12, from LaPlace, Louisiana, has been missing since August 30th. Jessica Edwards, age 12, from New Orleans, Louisiana, missing since August 29th. You know where either of them is, please call the Katrina Missing Kids Hotline, 1-888-544-5475.
All I want is a room somewhere, a business trip beyond compare. Hampton keeps me on my game, folks who care and know my name. All I want is all the comforts that I need, helping me to succeed. Wouldn't it be lovely?
Right on time? Yeah, time to choose a seasonal allergy medicine.
Pick one of those. You could be suffering in 6 hours.
Allegra 180 works 4 times longer.
Why do I even carry those others? One dose of most OTC allergy medicines may not last as long as you want, but just one Allegra 180 lasts up to 4 times longer than one dose of most OTC allergy medicines.
Allegra works all day, and it's gonna work all night.
For people 12 and over, side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or backache.
I'll take Allegra any day.
Long-lasting Allegra. The relief goes on.
First week of school, they have a lot of credit card vendors out on the plaza. They advertise free stuff to sign up. It was free money. I just went crazy on it. I would get mailings from collection agencies, and that's when it got kind of scary. I started to really care about my credit after I bought my car. I got a really, really bad interest rate, and that's when I went on the internet and I found True Credit.
Log on to TrueCredit.com and get unlimited credit reports and scores from all 3 credit bureaus. Plus, daily credit alerts to keep you on top of any changes. Order online now and receive $25,000 in identity theft coverage at no additional cost.
It's very exciting for me to log on, buy a report, check out my score, and see how much it's improved. It's important to pull your credit at least once every quarter. You just don't know what's going to be on your credit report. It's a lot easier to manage. I still have my car. I'm an assistant to a loan officer for a bank. I just love the irony in that. And True Credit's been great.
Let Empire Glass replace your cracked windshield, and we'll give you 24 free dinners to Sherry's Restaurants, where you'll enjoy great food and delicious pies all day, every day. And we offer free mobile service to your home or office. So for the highest quality windshields and 24 free dinners to Sherry's, call Empire Glass today at 503-251-9881. And remember, when you think glass, think Empire.
Why has AudioSource been the #1 specialty car audio and security store in Clark County the last 10 years? Outstanding customer service, highest quality installation, and the absolute lowest prices. AudioSource truly has the best deals on the best car audio brands all in one location.
Free installation with any purchase of Alpine, Clarion, Pioneer, or Kenwood CD players with sale prices as low as $129. Pioneer and Clarion amps starting at just $99.
For the guaranteed lowest prices on all car audio, security, and accessories, visit AudioSource on Highway 99 in Hazeldale.
Mayor Reinigen announces plans to reopen New Orleans, but with evacuees making themselves at home elsewhere, who will return on Hardball at 7. Then, the New Orleans Saints host a home game on the road. A special story about the football team that's become a symbol of hope for Katrina survivors on Countdown at 8. MSNBC Primetime tonight.
If you missed Rita Cosby live and direct last week, you missed a lot. This week, John Walsh is in the storm zone, helping put families back together. Live and direct, MSNBC weeknights at 9.
My closing argument. In the first couple of weeks after Hurricane Katrina, I agreed it wasn't productive to focus on the so-called blame game with so many people in need of immediate help and support. I thought assessing blame was a way to primarily cover various behinds, but not the most productive use of the limited time and resources. Well, the time has come. Not just so we can learn lessons, but in order to help solve problems that exist there today. We need to know exactly who is supposed to be doing what, particularly now that another hurricane appears to be on the way. This is the mayor of New Orleans exchange jabs on national TV with the Coast Guard Vice Admiral running the federal relief effort. The issue, whether some residents should be returning to New Orleans now. Vice Admiral Allen said no. The mayor said yes for parts of the city until late today as Tropical Storm Rita threatened to hit the area. If we had a sense of who exactly was supposed to do what and when, it might help residents better assess what to do now. Who's responsible for assessing whether the water's drinkable for the people returning? Who's best suited to determine which neighborhoods will be rebuilt versus which are beyond repair? And who will make the all-important decisions about the levees? And do we really want to trust some of the officials who made such horrible decisions 3 weeks ago to be in charge now? We need to assess blame to clean house, especially as millions of dollars funnel into the region. Billions. Accountability will be crucial in assuring the right people get what they need. The Florida Sun-Sentinel this week examined 20 natural disasters over the past 5 years, found that FEMA awarded more than $330 million to areas that weren't impacted by storms. A lot of that money either irresponsibly allocated or taken by fraud. The paper reports FEMA ended up footing the bill for funerals of people not even killed by hurricanes or for brand new home appliances for some who hadn't lost anything in storms. That sort of information may help determine where the precious resources go this time, now. We need answers. Look, blame game's a loaded term, but I'm ready to play it if it means that we can better allocate money and resources today, supervised by people we can count on. And yes, it may also help prevent this mess from ever happening again. Coming up, some of you defend having federal money and donations for Hurricane Katrina victims ending up in strip clubs.
Are you listening to your heart? You should. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women. Do something good for your heart. Smart Start Healthy Heart, the only national cold cereal with ingredients that may help lower both blood pressure and cholesterol as part of a healthy lifestyle. For a healthy heart, start here.
Sprint Business is reinventing the yes man, turning the yes man into someone who can work from almost anywhere. And now that Sprint and Nextel have come together, you can work in and out of the office more efficiently, the way 96% of the Fortune 1000 already do. So if saying yes from just about anywhere with speed and confidence makes me a yes man, I'm a yes man.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Yes, you can.
Looking for a mortgage lender who can put you on the fast track? Log on to ditech.com or call 1-800-DITECH-1. Right now, we're offering a flat-fee purchase home loan with 0 points. The total lender fee is just $395.
You can save thousands of dollars on closing costs.
Get on the fast track now with a new purchase home loan from ditech.com. Log on to ditech.com or call 1-800-DITECH-1.
ditech.com. Speed guaranteed.
Welcome. The rules in Finlandistan and Albaniastan are quite unique. I hope you had a chance to review them.
It's tennis. How different can it be?
It's not easy being out of your element, especially when it comes to insurance and investing. Genworth Financial and your financial professional can help you understand your choices and then make the right ones, so you'll be ready for whatever the future throws your way.
Day after day, drop after drop, you test your blood if you have diabetes. But what if the information you're getting isn't right? If you don't code properly, your readings can be up to 43% off. 43%! And that's just a waste of all those little drops and all your efforts. So Bayer developed the Essentia Contour Meter. There's no coding needed, so you get the information you need from every single drop, every single day. The Essentia Contour from Bayer.
For years, E-Trade was alone, standing outside, throwing stones at the financial establishment, challenging the ordinary. Now that we've matured, we're doing it from inside. E-Trade Financial combines banking, trading, and investing so you can make the most of your money. Be maximized. Visit etrade.com and be extraordinary.
Officials prepare to reopen New Orleans. What Joe wants to know, is the city really ready, or are they putting people at risk? Scarborough Country, MSNBC tonight at 10.
Cool new graphics we have, huh? I've had my say, and now it's time for your rebuttal. On Friday, we reported how, in certain cases, your donations and federal tax money given to Hurricane Katrina victims on FEMA and Red Cross debit cards have been used at strip clubs, Best Buy, and even Louis Vuitton. Apparently, with few restrictions on the cards, there's really nothing to do to prevent it from happening. We asked, is there a better way to do it? Katrina W., I'm furious. How dare some of these people take the money that we, their fellow Americans, donated and the government has given them to help them get back on track and on their feet, buy a damn Louis Vuitton bag. This is an item that I couldn't afford at any point in my lifetime, and someone had the nerve to use a FEMA card. From La Mesa, California, Diana Strain. Why do you want to keep the evacuees in a helpless state and monitor their behavior? Loretta Jacobs from Green Bay, California. I don't care how they spend their $2,000. They were trying to be polite, referring to the Red Cross, and tell you it's not their job to watch how people choose to spend their few pennies. And I could not agree more. Give it a rest. Get off your high horse. These are people in crisis. Red in Louisiana. I work in a casino in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We have had people come into the casino to try and gamble. It really makes me feel like some are taking advantage of the situation. I see the people from New Orleans in the casino spending the money they have instead of finding a place to stay for 3 children. We have to deal with them every night. Lynn from California. But if the Louis Vuitton bag makes someone happy, then what's wrong with that? These people have lost everything they own. Most, if not all, of the people have post-traumatic stress, and their thinking is probably very emotional and distorted. From Columbus, Ohio, Joe Sommer. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that some evacuees might spend some of their relief money at strip clubs. It's a scientific fact that sexual gratification has a tranquilizing effect, can reduce stress and lift depression. Those people surely need all three. Say it ain't so, Joe. S. Mitchell. Tired of people yelling about racism. My family donated $5,000 to hurricane relief. Why should I continue to give when this is the gratitude we receive? Cindy S. in New York, you're absolutely correct. Americans are not going to open their wallets to the Red Cross or FEMA when they aren't responsible enough to restrict how these funds are spent. Finally, Mila Resson from Los Angeles. This type of irresponsible reporting contributes to a pervasive lack of understanding about the very real problem of poverty in this country. Your emails, Abrams Report, one word at MSNBC.com. We go through them at the end of the show. I really like this new look. But it seems like every time we do anything different, everyone writes in complaining that they like it. The number of complaints we used to get about our music all the time. And I'm sure now everyone's going to say, what happened to that wonderful 70s music you guys used to groove to at the end of the show? Right. Does it for us tonight. Coming up next, Hardball with Chris Matthews. See you tomorrow.